The main character read the entire book until the last chapter and considered herself the biggest fan of this book, which was called The Goddess of the Empire. But in the end, she is in despair, screaming that this cannot be, and then asks, "What have you done, author?" In this book, the main character of this short story is Liliana. And until the very end, she hesitated between two men, but as a result, she met a happy ending with the guy who became the emperor. However, the problem is that from that moment on, another hero who could not come to terms with this turns out to be the author's favorite character number 1, whose name is Roan, and he died for the sake of the heroine. The girl who read this book doesn't understand how this happened and why he doesn't even have his own storyline. And she also couldn't believe it and looked at the mark more than 100 times. The main character really wanted the author to write a storyline for Rayan, and for this, she even left several dozen long comments. However, she realized that there was no point in this. In addition, the author, who was completely crap because of the ending, and the girl spent a lot of time trying to find at least something for this request. But in the end, she didn't find anything, and so she wanted Rayan to be given to her, because she wondered if the swordmaster could just die. The girl went to bed in the evening because she was very tired. But while lying in bed, she began to wonder what it would be like to marry Rayan. And then she realized that in reality, this was impossible. Suddenly, the main character wants to get into the novel herself, and she thinks it would be great if she could meet Rayan. Because she understands that if this happened, it doesn't matter whether she's a villain tormenting the main character or an extra and she doesn't care. The girl thinks that everything would be great if she had a pretty face before. Suddenly, the main character decided to go to the store, but when she went outside, it started to rain and there were no people. So there were no people at all. Suddenly, the girl had a bad feeling. Then she saw a very bright light. The main character woke up in bed and then looked at her hands, and she does not understand what happened and where she is, and remembered that she was struck by lightning. And at that time, she thought that this was just a vivid dream. The maid entered the room and looked at her mistress and then asked if she was okay. When the lady with red hair heard this, she doesn't understand what is happening and what the situation is. And then she looked at the maid and remembered that this was the maid uniform that was described in the novel. However, the main character does not understand why the maid is trembling so much. And then she thought that maybe it was just a dream, and she touched the maid's face. Well, when I felt her soft face, I realized that this was not a dream. And then the girl jumped out of bed and ran. And the maid, screaming, turning to the mistress, says that she is still sick and she cannot run. Hearing this, the main character thought that this was not a dream. When I looked in the mirror, I saw purple eyes, and they looked like precious stones. The girl really liked her appearance in the mirror. Well, when she touched her face, she realized that the sense of touch was with her and she felt everything. And then she realized that she had truly been reborn. The main character can't remember that in the original someone had crimson hair. And then she turns to the maid and asks if she is her maid. And she also wonders what her name is. The maid responds in surprise that her name is Truth Drino von Rasia. Hearing this, the main character thought that she would be happy in any case, and also remembers that she thought that no matter who she was reborn as, everything would be fine. However, she does not understand why she was reborn into the princess who terribly bullied Rayan. The main character offers to briefly tell the contents of the book of the Goddess of the Empire. In the academy, which is the main place of the story, there were 4 main handsome men. And Liliana, who moved from South Korea, I came to conquer these handsome guys. This princess was a heartbreaker, but thanks to her, they grew up as important characters in the empire. And one of them is her favorite character, Master of the Abyss Sword, Roan. The Swordmaster had a dark past. He was the terrible eldest son of an almost penniless count, and he grew up being abused. However, he later met his mentor and became a swordmaster and was also recognized as a great sage. Rayan has mastered the highest level of magic to perfection, and as a result, he became a munchkin, restoring his family from which he left. After reading this, the main character understands that there are quite a few different definitions, but in general, a munchkin is a strong and cunning character who uses the rules of the game for his own purposes. However, even such a perfect Rayan could not avoid the main character. Like a cliché, a constantly recurring meeting. And Rayan himself did not understand how he became interested in Liliana. After that, he became a knight, always protecting her. He gained popularity as an irresponsibly passionate character in love. The Swordmaster was a character called everyone's first love, and he eventually passed away. The lady with red hair approaches Miss Maid and asks how old she is. Hearing this, the maid was surprised, and then she replies that she turned 12 this year. Liliana wonders why she is sick. The maid replies that she fell ill during a riding competition and fell off her horse and was unconscious for a long time. Hearing this, the main character remembered that she was thrown off by a horse due to rough treatment. The only daughter of a noble family, Raja was born into the union of Duke Benzies and his wife Serenda. The girl grew up in love and care, however unlike her kind-hearted parents. You even begin to doubt whether she is your own their reign. And therefore it is clear who Truth is because this is the name of the main character. The main character was a walking nuclear bomb to her family, and she was also one of the people who bullied Ron the most. At this time, the lady with red hair thought that she was terrible, and that was why the maid was shaking so much when she looked at her. The girl turns to the maid and says that she can go. Hearing this, the maid thanked her and then quickly left. The main character thought that Truth got hurt while riding a horse and realized that it was karma, and at that time I thought that Ron hated her too, because it was like that in the original. When Truth woke up, her father forbade anyone to visit her for a month. A month later, Rayan arrived. He was with the Count who wanted to flatter the Duke. The main character remembers that this was their meeting 2 years later. And she doesn't understand what to do because she thinks it's normal that he doesn't love her. Suddenly, a thought occurred to the girl, and she thought that she was a genius and therefore would do this. And then she came to the knights and wished them a pleasant day. However, the main character understands that a month has passed, but everything is still the same, and therefore she is still very far from clearing the name of the villain. Suddenly, her dad came up to her and then hugged her. Father says that today, his princess is especially beautiful. The girl says that they have guests today, and at that time I thought that Ron was finally coming, and for the sake of this day, she was so nice to everyone. At this time, the butler announces that Mr. Count has arrived. Hearing this, the girl thought that she did not expect to meet Rayan as a child. And when I saw him, I thought that this was not a joke, and it was true that he was very shining. Truth approaches the guy, and then greets him. And at that time I thought that she of course guessed, but in reality, he had a much crazier expression on his face. And of course he suffered so much from her. But he understands that he is beautiful, even when he is angry. The man who stood next to Rayan. The puppy screams at him and then says that the lady greeted him and asks why he is silent and what his reaction is. The Count addresses the lady and then apologizes and explains that his son was not born with good manners. Hearing this, Truth thought that he had hit his precious Ron on the back of the head with his vile little hands. And then she wondered if he was hoping for luck. At this time, the main character thought that she did not want to use this method. But looking at this man, she had no other choice, and she grabs her head with her hand and then falls. The father saw his daughter in such a situation and asked what happened to her. He says that he still did not know that she was not healthy. Truth turns to her father and then says that Mr. Count frightens her very much. Hearing this, Dad asks why her daughter was so scared. And then he turns to Mr. Count John and invites him to refrain from doing this in front of the lady. At this time, the boy thought that her help was insignificant, but now she helped him. Truth thought that under such a pretext, their relationship would definitely improve. And she understands that if a child who had been bullied so much since childhood suddenly changed, it would be very strange. But the main thing is that she needs to believe in a chance, and that's why she can't give up. The girl turns to the boy and invites him to go into the room and play. Hearing this, Rayan was confused, and the main character doesn't understand why he has such a reaction, and then she thought that she had an evil grin. Truth went to her room, and the boy obediently followed her. And at that time, the girl thought that her favorite hero was with her, and then she invited him to sit down. The lady took the boy's hand, but does not understand why he does not move. And at this time, he remembers that in the short story, it was said that since childhood, he had studied fencing and had many wounds. However, she again invites him to sit down. The boy asks if she really invites him to sit down. Hearing his voice, the girl thought that he was only 12 years old, and she did not understand why his voice was so crazy. When Ron sat down, the girl noticed that he was not looking in her direction at all, but she would really like him to look at her. and she decided to go ahead on her own, Rayona asks. Was he surprised that she had changed? However, the boy did not answer, and the girl thought that it was useless. And at that time, she thought that she had one more way left, and she needed to cry. The main character decided to make herself cry, but she doesn't understand why her tears won't come, and then asks if he knows that she fell off her horse. The girl says that while she lay unconscious, she had many dreams, and she was so sorry for how badly she treated him. And then she says that this will not happen again, and she understands that this is very difficult to accept, and asks if he can look at her. The boy turns to the lady and asks if that's all she wanted to say, and then says that he is leaving. Hearing this, the main character was surprised, and then screaming invites him to wait and grabs his hand. Rayan asks what she is doing. The lady explains that she wants him to wait a little, and then asks again if he can look at her just once. And at this time, I thought that she understood that this was strange. The boy took his hand back and then said, enough was enough. At this time, the girl thought that she should not cry, and therefore she should restrain herself and smile. Truth turns to the guy and says that she will not offend him and will not hurt him, and then asks for his forgiveness. Rayan reveals that he accepts her apology. Hearing this, the main character thought that he was speaking insincerely. The main character remembered that every time she mocked him and told him to die, and she understands that if he forgave her in such a situation, it would be even stranger. The girl thinks about going after him and grabbing him, but realizes that he might hate her even more. Truth thought that their next meeting would be in 2 years, and that's why she can't wait that long, and she wants her little head to remember something. The main character reflects on the fact that she does not know where Rayan practices fencing. And then he remembers that when he was about 7 years old every day, he got up in the morning and at dawn climbed a high mountain and practiced fencing in solitude. Together with his mentor, Rayan continued training in a secret place until he entered the academy. And this boy was very diligent from childhood. Of the 5 states, the strongest and largest was the state of Germain. And the capital of this state was the city of Chadia. And at this time, the main character thought that there are many mountains there. And this is an absurdly huge place. And she doesn't understand what to do with her plan. Truth thought that if he goes out every day at dawn, then this is the mountain in Chadia, where he and Roan live. And she believes that she needs to inspect every mountain. The maid turns to her mistress and says that it is dangerous to stand on the books. However, the girl asks her if she knows anything about the high mountain, and she wonders where she can practice fencing. The maid replies that she knows nothing about it, and then says that the knights from the barracks can tell her about it. Hearing this, the girl thanked her, and then asked her what her name was. The maid replied that her name was Betty Truth, thanked Batty again, and then quickly ran away. The girl saw the guy, and then remembers that he appeared in the story very fleetingly, and even during the collapse of the Russia family, he protected them until the very end. And he was the most devoted knight and family of Russias, whose name was Lord Rerd. Truth turns to Rayard and asks if he can bend over a little. The guy says that he listens to her, and then the girl whispers something in his ear, and after that he says that this is a secret, and therefore proposes to discuss this in more detail later. The guy says that it won't be possible to do this secretly, and the lady asks why. He replies that the Duke ordered it so and that the lady was safe. Rerd asks the lady if she came here in secret. The girl explains that she received permission for this, and at that time I realized how much she was mistaken. And then she remembers that 10 minutes ago, when she came to her father's office, he was interested in what business she came to him for. The daughter replies that she came to ask permission to go to the barracks. The father reports that it was not bad, and then says that it is impossible. After all, last time she intimidated the knights with a knife, and then he says that if his daughter wants something, then he will do it. Hearing this, the main character thought that her father was talking about this with a smile, and she believes that although her parents are normal, the Duke was also out of his mind. Truth turns to the knight and says that if he does not listen to her, then she will come to the barracks every day and torment them too. Hearing this, the guy says that it won't work out secretly, and the girl invites him to go to the garden. Rerd asks if she is inviting him to find the high mountain of Chadia. The lady replies that this is exactly what she wants. The knight claims that she says that he should not only search alone, but together with her. The lady replies that he understood her, and then he asks if he can know the reason. Truth replies that there is a person whom she must find. And then he explains that he can only ask him, and therefore he cannot ask why. It's simply because she trusts the most. And it seems to her that she will find meaning in this only if she finds this person personally. The main character says that if he refuses, then she may give up the idea of going together. And so he asks her to help her find it. The knight reports that he understood her, and then he says that he needs time to think. Hearing this, the lady was happy, and then said that she allows him. 2 days later, Rurd informs the lady that he is accompanying her to a high mountain. There are about 9 high mountains in Chadia, but 7 of them have already ended up onto me. When they climbed the mountain, the girl thought that her legs were shaking, and this time it was wrong. However, the knight invites the lady to wait a minute and stand aside, and then he reports that there seems to be someone on the other side. Rayan asks who came to this mountain. Hearing this voice, the main character thought that they had finally met. Truth is surprised to say that this is luck, and then explains that she was walking here. The girl asks if he practices fencing, and she wonders if he's preparing to enter the academy. The guy says that he has a very indiscreet question for the lady, and she says he can ask her anything. Ron says that the lady who treated him like a toy deigned to come to him in person, and he does not understand the reason. Hearing this, Rurd says that he must watch his words because he is too impudent with the princess. The girl turns to Lord Rurd and says that everything is fine with her, and that Rayan is her friend since he is the son of one earl and can be trusted. The boy remembers that Truth mocked him from childhood and ordered the maids to flog him. She also tripped me up and forced me to eat poisoned food against my will. The main character knows that even her image is unpleasant to him, and then she says that she will not tell the Count if he finds out about him. It will not be easy for him. And then he offers to make a deal together. Rayan says he is listening to her. The lady invites him to let her practice fencing too, and at that time she thought that she would study here at any cost and become closer to him because she liked him so much. The knight turns to Lady Truth and says that it is time for training. Hearing this, the girl says that 5 minutes have already passed and then asks how many blows this time. The knight replies that 200 strokes. The lady believes that in any case tomorrow her muscles will suffer greatly, and she understands that she cannot present herself in front of Rayan in an indecent manner. And then he starts studying again. After a few minutes, the main character reports that it's difficult for her and suggests getting some rest. And then she thinks it's time and turns to Roan. The girl gives him a box of sandwiches and says that she prepared this for him and offers him something to eat. Lady remembers that she woke up Betty to do this and then called it a love sandwich. Rayan asks in surprise what she put in there again. The girl says that he can be calm because it can be eaten and explains that she did not add any frogs or poison to it. And then she eats and offers to look at her. The guy believes that she is now immune to the poison. Hearing this, the girl asks what he is talking about and then says that they have already made up and reminds him that she said she doesn't do that anymore. Istina says that this happened and she does not deny it. And at that time she thought that she could understand why he was angry, but she promised that she would no longer do anything bad. The girl remembers that she threatened him with the Count and understands that it was a very low act. The Rayan clan was deeply in debt, and they were aristocrats only in appearance. And the Count had no strength. Even his wife who supported him could not stand it and committed suicide. Therefore, only the only son remained with the distraught Count. Rayan's beauty, and so to make him look good in front of the aristocrats he was raised as a valuable toy. The girl understands that if the Count finds out that Ron is engaged in fencing, then perhaps he will ban him in prison, and he risked his life while practicing fencing. The main character understands that it is normal that he hates her because she threatened him by pressing on his weak spot. And she thinks that she didn't want to threaten him with something like that, but if she hadn't done that, she was sure that he would have run away again. Suddenly, the girl is asked by the stranger if he can have one sandwich. Hearing this, she looked at him in surprise. At this time, Rayan turns to this man and calls him a mentor. Hearing this, the girl thought that this man was this boy's mentor. And then he remembers that in the original he was not described in detail, but he is not likely handsome. The mentor asks the boy whether he was idle while he was away. Istina was surprised to hear this, and then apologizes and asks how this can be and what nonsense. And she also wonders if Ron works harder than anyone else. The mentor turns to the boy and asks if spring has come in his life. Rayan replies that he has some good things. The mentor asks if he can eat one piece. The main character replies that he can eat anything, but those sandwiches that are on the side are specially prepared for Lord Reard. The young man thanked the lady and then turned to the boy and invited him to eat a sandwich together and chat. Those who initially could not become allies created a kind of group of 4 people. Day after day, the main character prepared sandwiches according to Betty's recipe. Every day, Rayan ate bread prepared by her. And although he followed his promise to his mentor, he hardly ate. And that's why the main character didn't like this setting in the short story most of all. Due to childhood traumas, he had poor sense of taste, and as such, he had no attachment to food. And mostly, he collected and ate only vegetables. The girl understood that although they were the same age, perhaps because of this, he was much smaller than her. However, he received the power of a munchkin, and therefore soon he will become much taller and larger than her. Truth wants Rayan to finally like the food she cooks, and she also believes that there is a lot of delicious food in the world, and it's sad to live without knowing it. The girl believes that if she cooks well, then perhaps someday he will like her. Rayan turns to the lady and says that he would not say that she cooked poorly, but now somehow he doesn't want to eat them. Hearing this, the girl thought about why she said it out loud, and then suggested that the guy not leave. Over these few weeks, True's fencing skills had grown significantly. It also became much easier for her to get up at dawn, and her culinary skills improved. Rayan receiving advice from mentor Lucas and Lord Reard grew noticeably. However, one day the main character thought that everything was fine with her physical fitness. Well, when I woke up in the morning, I felt that she was cold, and she was gradually tired. The girl recalls that she was born into a completely ordinary family, and was a high school student growing up in an ordinary environment. And it was also difficult for everyone to get together and have dinner together. And so she felt as if they were strangers, since her family hardly spoke. Truth recalls that this made her lonely and sad, and she read light romantic fantasy around the world of Friends. And among countless works, she liked only one character, Rayan, and she instantly fell in love with him, and more wanted to meet and just look at him. The main character remembers that when she was hit by lightning, she died, and everything turned out to be meaningless. And so she will no longer be able to dream about Rayona, she thought then. When the girl woke up, she realized that she had been reborn and was filled with hope, because that moment had finally come and she had neither thoughts nor desire to go back. After all, she met Rayan, whom she dreamed of seeing like no one else. Truth, lying in bed, thought that Rayan was all hers, and then she turns to Betty's mother with a request to cure her quickly. The next day, the lady thought that she should prepare bread at dawn and meet Rayan. However, Lord Reard stopped the lady and explained that he had been told not to let her go out today on the orders of the Duchess. Hearing this girl screams and asks what this nonsense is, and then offers to look at her because everything is fine with her. She even got up at dawn and prepared bread. The young lady says that if this continues, she will go to the knights. However, the Lord says that she still can't. Truth says that if he does not allow her to go out while she is at home, he will torture all the servants and force them to leave. Reard heard this and thought that this girl might be different, and so he said that he would ask the Duchess about it. After some time, the Lord reports that Madame Duchess allowed the lady to go out, but forbade her to practice fencing. Hearing this, the lady says that it is not suitable for her. Reard asks in surprise why she says that. Truth explains that if this happens, Rayan will know that she is sick. The Lord explains that she really cannot be dissuaded. At this time, the main character thought that this could not become an obstacle to Rayan's training. Truth came to the mountain and all this time watched the boy who was training. However, she couldn't even count on him treating her like a ghost. The lady turned to the Lord and asked how many blows she could give. He suggested starting with the light ones 10 times. Hearing this, the girl says that it is very simple and says that she will do it 200 times. And at that time, she thought that this would pass for an exclamation, but she did not understand why she saw 2 sticks and thought that it could be magic. And she thought that he could not become a hindrance. However, the main character does not understand why her body naturally approached the boy. At this time, the girl thought that she felt something warm and thought that Lord Reard ran up and caught her. Rayan turns to Lady Truth and says that she has enough training for today, and then says that it will be bad if something happens to her. The girl says that she wanted to see him, and at that time I thought that this sweet tickling smell really belonged to Rayan, who carried her on his back. At this time, the main character thought that she was 100% sure that this was a dream. However, he doesn't understand he can say that. And then he says that she will always be by his side. The main character turns to Lord Reard and invites him to hurry up. The young master replies that if the lady runs like that, he is sure that she will fall. The girl says that she doesn't see what the problem is with getting up and running again, and suggests that they hurry up. The Lord suggests that the lady should stop and talk. However, the girl replies that she has no time to chat. And at that time, I thought that she had not seen Rayan for 3 whole days. Truth ran up to Lucas and Rayan and then took the stick and said that it was again as light as a feather. A few minutes later, the girl watching the guy thought that he was trying very hard today, and then I thought that I could secretly have a picnic. The main character looked at her nails and didn't understand when they became so rough and realized that her hands were not well groomed at all. Well then, I remembered that if Betty found out, she would scold her again. Roan asks the lady what she's doing, and then he wonders if she put her fingernail in the sandwich. The main character heard this screaming and explains that she doesn't do that anymore. The mentor turns to the lady and says that the sandwich smells delicious and wishes her bon appétit. The girl responds by saying that she also wishes him. Roan asks the lord and lady if they have time today, and then he says that they would like to go somewhere. Truth replies that they will go, and then explains that she is free today. The mentor says that they are finally going to eat meat, and then turns to the lady and says that she ate a sandwich and is probably already full. Hearing this, the girl explains that she does not have a stomach and everything will fit in her and she will not be full. Lucas heard this and laughed, and the young lady looked at him in surprise and realized that she had said something wrong. The mentor comes into the house and says that today they will eat meat there. At this time, the main character thought that Rayan hardly eats meat anyway, and thought that she could add some meat to breakfast. Lucas turns to Lord Reard and asks if he will help him a little. Then he turns to the boy and girl and suggests that they sit together. Hearing this, the main character thought that he emphasized the word together and therefore considered it a good job as a mentor, because he understands that this is a great chance to get close to him. The girl understands that Rayan did not run away and therefore considers herself lucky. And even just sitting next to him, it seems to her that the world is painted in the color of happiness. Suddenly, the guy asks why the lady started learning fencing. Truth turns to him and asks what the sudden question is. And then she explains that there is one person she wants to protect. And he doesn't even hide his gaze full of doubt. At this time, the main character thought that she wanted to protect Rayan, and no matter how hard she had to train, everything had a limit. And that's why she wants to be useful and doesn't want to be a burden to him. In the novella, Ron died protecting Liliana, and she reflects that if this time he is in danger because of Liliana, then she will personally finish her off. However, the main character does not understand where she suddenly has such cruel thoughts. Truth reports that she doesn't care about gender or status, and she thought it would be nice to learn fencing, because this way she can protect herself and the people dear to her. At this time, the girl thought that as soon as she looked into the eyes, she understood why all the novels describe the eyes of the main characters. And at that time, she thought that her heart was going to break. And then the girl says that she wants to take it for herself. But when she saw the boy's surprised look, she explains that that's not what she meant. And she doesn't understand why she said it out loud again. Truth became embarrassed and thought that maybe she should just die because she felt like a fool. Ron says that if she really wants to wield a sword, then that is very commendable. Hearing this, the girl was surprised and then thought that he recognized her. The mentor asks the lady if she has already thanked Rayan, and then he reports that when she fell, he carried her on his back, and Lord Reard already kindly thanked him. Hearing this, Truth thought that this guy was carrying her on his back, which meant that it was not a dream, and she understands that this is exactly what Lord Reard wanted to talk about. The girl hugs the guy. However, he became embarrassed and said, "Lady, that this is indecent." However, the girl replies that she doesn't know anything and doesn't want to hear anything, and then thanks him and says that she is very happy. At this time, the main character thought that even if he pushes her away, she would never let him go because she really likes him. The next day, Truth greeted Rayan, but he did not answer her, and then she asks why he's avoiding her. The guy asks why he needs to greet the lady. The girl explains that they are friends. Rayan asks in surprise if she is serious. The lady replies that she is quite serious. The guy says that he doesn't want to see her. The girl doesn't understand why and asks about it. He invites her to think with her own head, and then she says that she has no brains at all and it's probably difficult for her to think. And then it is reported that since this is the case, nothing can be done, so come what may. At this time, the main character thought that yesterday she had gone too far and realized that she really liked him, and therefore she did not want to let him go. After that day, Rayan behaved the same way. He avoided the girl and asked her not to talk to him. And he also ignored her every day and even insulted her. However, the main character was grateful to him for his short answers, since she understood that at first he completely ignored her, and therefore thought that there was progress. The maid asks her mistress what she plans to do about it. The girl replies that it is nothing and says that she just needs to do something. The main character had several goals associated with different misconceptions. To some extent, she became close to Rayan, and therefore she had the following goal. A typical device used in novels is a constantly appearing oracle or fortune teller. And what the main character did not accept in this short story was precisely this. The fortune teller did not determine the spouse of the main character. The girl thinks that it would be better to say from the very beginning that the crown prince is the fate of the main character. Instead, he said that she was a goddess who came to the empire and made the heroine hesitate between the two heroes. Rayan is innocent of anything and died, and therefore as soon as they think about him, evil immediately takes her. The main character wants to prevent all this, and then he turns to Betty and says that she will wear the cloak carefully and thanks her. Lord Red tells the girl that she can't. Hearing this, the main character asks if this phrase is not already hackneyed, and then she insists that he should not ask questions, but simply do as she says. The truth is that if it turns out that he knows, and then asks what will happen to the knights from the barracks, the main character headed to the capital of Chadia. Walking down the street, she reflects on the fact that people are making as much noise as planned. And then the girl sat down at the table and the waiter approached her and asked what the guest would like. Hearing this, lady pushed the lord with her hand and thereby gave him a sign that he should answer. Rerd says that the gentleman does not want to shed anyone's blood today, and then says that if he brings vegetables he will not mind. Hearing this, the main character thought that the lord was playing well, and then it is assumed that if this continues then everything will be fine. Reard turns to the lady in the cloak and asks what Mr. Rookton thinks. The main character replies that this is not a good place to talk, and then says that she will only say what he can hear. Istina says that in 2 years a blessed goddess will appear in the German Empire whose name will be Liliana. The girl remembers that in the story there was a character named Rookton, and a fortune teller rumored to be wearing a cloak with a blue light. And so her goal is to find Rookton and change his prediction. However, the main character understands that since she is not the author, and it is difficult for her to say where he will appear, and that's because things like this, and so she will change the initial script before Rookdan says his prophecy, and she will act proactively because this is her plan. After she and Lord Reard finished training a couple of days later, they decided on 3 establishments where they made fake predictions from the list. The lady reported that Liliana would appear at the academy and had shiny brown hair. And then she claimed that she was the destiny of the crown prince and would not be able to love anyone else. One day, a man with long hair approaches them and asks if he is the same fortune teller from the rumors. Hearing this, the main character thought that just the right person had come to her, and then he reports that he is the predictor of Rookton. The stranger says that if this is true, then asks if he can talk to her for a bit and offers to follow her. At this time, I thought that she had met the real Rookton, although she was scared but interested, and so she only needs to look at his facial expression. So it seems that his character is even more vile than in the original, and she does not understand what to do. The stranger addresses the girl and then claims that she is obliged to answer for her words, and threatens that if she chats in vain, he will kill her. And also, if she does not answer, he will finish her too. Truth turns to the Lord and invites him to put down his sword, and then says that she will answer any questions. At this time, the main character thought that he must be superior in strength to them, and therefore she could only tame him. The stranger offers the girl to prove that she is Rookton. I heard this girl thought that she really could say it. The man with long hair says that if she doesn't hurry up with her answer, he will kill her. The girl claims that she is Rookton. And when she was 7 years old, he peed in a blanket, and she has a large birthmark on her buttocks. And when he was a teenager, he was very weak, and therefore he constantly had a runny nose. Hearing this, a man with long hair screams and tells him to shut up. At this time, the main character thought that it was good that she had carefully read Rukden's story in the novella, and then he reports to wait for his beloved siren. He made a pact with the blue dragon and then asks if everything is right. Rukden lived 1,000 years and is a character closely associated with the legend of the founding of the empire. About 1,000 years ago, he met a siren who had moved from another dimension and fell in love with her. However, she nevertheless returned to her native country, and for the sake of her beloved who had still returned, Rukden entered into an agreement to extend her life. For about 1,000 years, he is still waiting only for her return. The lady realizes that no one knows about this, and naturally he gets angry. Rukden pulled out a knife and pointed it at the girl's neck. Seeing this, Lord Rerd says, crying out that he is very impudent. However, the girl stops him and says that with their strength, they will definitely not win. Truth remembered that in the story, Rukden was closest to God, and in her eyes, he is just an irresponsible puppy who simply gave out a prediction. And therefore, she understands that Rukden is frightening and that she is clearly risking her life. The main character thought that the worst thing was that he loved Liliana, and being distracted by her while protecting her, he meets death. And therefore, for the main character, this is the worst thing. The girl turns to Rukden and then says that he will definitely regret it if he kills her and will become angry, because she is the only one who can read his letter. A man with long hair turns to the girl and says that the truth is that if she lies, he will kill her. Truth replies that she is not so stupid as to lie and put her life on bail, and she knows that the letter that Serena left him, and there is a curse on it. The main character knows that it is written in Korean only by reading the letter out loud. The curse can be lifted, and of course, no one in this world can read it. The girl remembers that in the story the curse was lifted by Liliana, and that's why this is more important to her now, and she will take this achievement away from her. Truth reveals that she is the only one who can remove the curse from this letter, and then claims that if he kills her, the curse will remain on the letter forever. Rukden pulls the letter out of his pocket and invites the girl to read it here now. The main character reads that the siren placed a curse on the letter, and therefore he will not be able to read it. The girl says that she will read the next part only if he agrees to cooperate with her. Hearing this, the man says that she is an insolent person who is threatening him. Truth explains that she is giving him a chance, and then it is reported that if he kills her, he will never be able to lift the curses. Rukden asks the lady what she wants. She replies that she hopes he will add something to his future prediction. And at that time, I thought about how fate should tie the crown prince and Liliana together, because he believes that Rayan should not die, hoping to be Liliana's fate. The main character suggests adding to the prediction that Liliana will become an empress, and that if she is not with the crown prince, then the empire will collapse. And then she says that this is a very sad change, but he will still have to agree to her terms. The man with long hair says that he will think about it. The girl says that according to the imperial calendar, it is spring, and if her prediction becomes known to the world, then she will come to him again. Rukden asks if she knows many things, and then he says that if she is such a powerful being, then why doesn't she make a prediction herself, and he doesn't understand why she asks him for this. Truth reveals that she hopes they will meet here again someday, and at that time she thought that the reason why she entrusted him with this matter was that she was busy to death with the conquest of Rayan. And on the way home, the girl thought that her heart almost stopped because she had made a scandal in front of the most powerful and incredibly dangerous character in the novel. The main character asks Lord Reard if he is not curious why she is doing this. He replies that he only has to support her. However, the girl claims that in normal times he constantly refuses her. And then she remembers that today he wanted to protect her so many times, but she did not give it to him. The Lord explains that these were only his duties. And at that time, the girl looked at him and did not understand what was wrong with him because his facial expression, and she wanted to tease him. Truth turns to Lord Reard and says that something is bothering her. And then she says that she wants to see Rayan and doesn't understand what she can do, and she wonders if she can go to the Count. The Lord replies that she cannot do this, and then says that she must wait until tomorrow. The lady says that she wants to see him like that, and that's why she can't wait. He looked at the girl and said that she cannot make such an expression on her face. The main character claims that he could get into big trouble if he interferes with her. And then she smiled and asked if he knew what expression he had now when she said this. Truth thought about what she wanted now. Well, we just have to wait for Rookden's prediction, and therefore she will completely target Rayan. The maid turns to her mistress and asks what happened. The girl replies that she would like to meet him at another time, and she understands that there are many restrictions with stupid and useless responsibilities. Lady asks if Betty should pretend to be crazy and follow him. The maid asks the lady to get up quickly, and then he says it's time for breakfast. When she heard this, the girl was surprised because a lot of time had passed so quickly, and so she needs to hurry because she will be late and Betty will start to get angry. Sitting at the table, the girl looked at her parents and did not understand what they had on their faces today, since they looked at her all the time and did not say anything. The main character does not understand why her parents are so strange and what they are doing. Suddenly, the father tells his daughter that they are going to have a party for her birthday in a week. The girl was surprised when she heard this. The father says he didn't know she wouldn't like it. And then it is reported that before going out next year, a welcome party is being held for the aristocrats. Dad slammed his fist on the table and then says that he should have said earlier and that's why he feels guilty. At this time, the Truth objects and asks when she said that she did not like this. And then he says that they should throw this party for her and offers to do it. Even if she dies, they still have to do it because she believes that she was born for this party. The girl thought that since the aristocracy, the count would come too, and therefore she would see Roan. And then she tells her parents that she is very happy, and I thought that it was very good to be the daughter of a duke. After breakfast, the main character ran to Rayan, but suddenly she tripped and fell. The guy is surprised and asks the lady the truth about what she has been up to since the morning. At this time, the girl thought that she just wanted to come up and start a conversation, and then she says that she is just glad to see him. Rayan thinks that she has been acting strangely since the morning hearing this. The girl agrees with him and then says that she is completely out of her mind right now, and she wonders how he realized this. Truth thought that she assumed he wouldn't like it, but she wanted so bad to tell him about it in person. But when I looked at the guy, I didn't understand what was wrong with his face because he was nervous. The main character asks the guy what color he likes, but she didn't hear the answer and says that she likes pink. Ron replies that he doesn't like any color of the dress she puts on her. When he heard this girl was surprised and asked how he knew that she was choosing a dress, the guy explains that everything she does is very obvious, and since she likes pink, that means she can wear a dress of that color. Truth explains that it is a special day, and therefore she would like to wear a dress in the color of his choice, and then asks if he can help her just this once. Rayan tells her that snow white color will suit her. Hearing this, the girl was surprised because she thought that he would definitely say dark or gloomy light, and was thinking about the fact that this could be an insult, like she thinks at least some dress would suit her, and so she thought she could look like a snow fairy. The guy says it's because her face still looks like a white sheet. Hearing this girl gets angry and asks what this means. Rayan wonders how about she thinks with her own head, and he wonders if she has a hat instead of a head, and that's why it's hard for her. Truth thought that it was a blank sheet of paper, and therefore he wants to say that she has no brains at all. However, I realized that I should be grateful for the fact that I advised at least something. After some time, the main character looked out the window and saw that many guests had come. But he understands that this is normal since the freak Russia is called the best in the empire, and it's their only daughter's birthday. Called the third clan of the empire, the clan of the family of truth, having a glory that everyone can envy. But even they had their skeletons in the closet, and this is not someone else's but their own daughter, Truth, who from childhood abused animals as well as people. The longer she did evil, the closer she came to the border, when she could no longer get away with it, and therefore the truth was the cause of the destruction of the race of Russia. The main character understands that she did not fully understand, but as soon as she looked out of the window, she felt all the glory of this kind that she even got goosebumps. However, the girl thought that the most important thing was that she wanted to see Roan. The girl looked at the list of names of guys who had applied to be escorts, and at that time I thought that she did not need any attention from men completely unknown to her, because they don't even know how she feels. Truth turns to Dad and Betty, and then says that she will be back soon, and invites them to wait for her. When they heard this, they were surprised because they did not know where she was going. At this time, the main character thought that she wanted only Rayan to accompany her. And when the lady came into the hall, she looked for him everywhere. However, Rayan was nowhere to be found, and she realized that she could not simply give up. Then she took off her shoes and confidently decided to find him. Suddenly, the girl heard a familiar voice asking what she was doing. The main character saw a guy and doesn't understand why her eyes are blinding her and what kind of radiance it is. And then he turns to the guy and asks if it's really him. Rayan asks the lady in surprise if she has already forgotten his face. The girl explains that that's not what she meant, and then asks what he's holding, and she wonders if he has come to apply as an escort. The guy claims that she knows that this will not happen, and then reports that the count said to give her the box. Seeing this, the girl says that she knew so because she believes that this application is for escort. Rayan. Hearing this, he asks in surprise where she is listening to him, but suddenly the girl hugs him. The guy turns to the lady and reminds him that he has already said before that her behavior is extremely tactless. Truth Screaming tells the guy to tell him that he has applied to be her escort. Rayan says that he is sure that besides him there will be a lot of people who want to accompany her. Having heard this, girl replies that she doesn't need anyone else. The young master says that if the count sees this, he may misunderstand. However, the girl claims that she doesn't care. The guy reports that she is persistent, but thinks it would be better to let him go. However, the main character turns to him and asks what will start the escort. Rayan replies that he is not eager, but for now he will agree. Hearing this, the girl was delighted and then thanked him. Truth took the guy by the hand and says that he needs to tell Daddy about this as soon as possible and invites him to go. At this time, the main character thought that she was stubborn, saying that she didn't need anyone except Rayan. And that's why she's so embarrassed to take his hand. The young master asks in surprise what she is doing, and then says that she has already forgotten how to stand on her feet. The main character explains that there is something wrong with her shoes. At this time, the guy knelt down and asked the girl not to move. Seeing this, the lady is surprised and asks what he is going to do. The guy explains that he just wants to put her shoes back on. And at that time, the girl felt that he had touched her with his hand. Rayan, look at the lady and say that she has a strange face, and then say that she doesn't realize that her actions in normal times are much more embarrassing. Hearing this, the main character thought that in fact he was right, but this was not at all the same since compared to when she herself touched him. The young master asks how long she is going to stand like this, and then she says that she can still change the escort. Hearing this, the girl replies that she does not want to do it. Rayan invites her to quickly take his hand and says that he has been waiting for this for a long time because he will accompany the main character of tonight's truth. Walking down the stairs, the young master says that if the lady falls, he will give her something to hold on to. Hearing this, the main character replies that she will not fall. And at this time, the lady thought that she felt very strange because there were so many guests, but except for Rayan, there was no one in her field of vision. And she understands that this is not a dream. And again, she fell in love with him and therefore disappeared because she really likes him. Rayan asks, how did he manage to learn the names of so many people? He replies that he is not a fool. Hearing this, the lady asks if he is reading her as a fool. And then he says that she no longer wants to talk about this topic and offers him a drink. Suddenly, the girl heard a conversation between two ladies who were talking about her. One of them says that she does not understand why such an event occurs in the Russian family. The lady with black hair replies that their daughter has already recovered from the disease. And then she says, by the way, that the son of the ruinous family of the district has become the accompaniment of truth. And the count torments his sons so much that they were probably lucky to get the favor of the Rayan family. And then he says that apparently the district is really doing this for the money. Hearing this conversation, the truth thought that they had a rag instead of a mouth, but when she wanted to approach these ladies, the guy there stopped her. The unfamiliar lady says that it looks like he has nothing more than his son's handsome face, but when she saw him in person, she realizes that it is true. Rayan claims that this is so, and then asks if he can tell this to the count. Hearing this, the main character invites the guy to leave it. However, he claims that they were right about everything. The girl asks in surprise what he is talking about, and then claims that this is not so at all. The young master asks the girl to stop, and then explains that she doesn't even understand that by doing this, she is hurting him even more. The main character asks the guy where he went, and then she ran with him into the street. Truth turns to the guy, says that although this is sudden from now on, no matter what happens, she will support him and will always be on his side. Rayan asks if she thinks he will believe it. The lady says that even if he doesn't believe it, she doesn't care, but someday he will become the best swordmaster on the continent and raise his family from its knees. The main character claims that there is no malice or deception and no other tricks in her words, and therefore he can trust her. The young guy claims that she is talking nonsense. The girl saw that he smiled and thought that then maybe she should tell her this, because that's what she wanted to say most when she met Rayan today. Truth turns to the boy and congratulates him on his birthday. And at that time she looked at him and did not understand why he had such a reaction. And I thought that maybe she was mistaken. The girl asks if today is not his birthday, and then she says that she checked the calendar and wondered if she was wrong. Rayan objects and says that she is right, and then explains that he simply did not expect to receive congratulations from her. Truth takes his hands and says that she used to be like this, but now, in the next year and the year after, she will always congratulate him. The main character thanks the guy for being born and congratulates him on his birthday. Truth reflects that her styling days continued after all. Their 12 years passed quickly since spring has come, their 13th year has come, and an oracle has appeared in the Empire. The main character remembers that the familiar content is the same as in the original, and even the additions she was talking about. Since Liliana will become the wife of the crown prince, their harmony will come with the blessing of the goddess and save the empire from collapse. The girl understands that it's good that the predictions were so clear since Liliana will be the crown prince's woman. From that birthday party until now, there have been big changes in my relationship with Rayan. Count Rayan duly accepted the invitation, and they visited them periodically. The biggest change was in Rayan, because even if she hugged him with all her might, he did not push her away, but simply asked the lady to let him go. A couple of days before, Truth fell to the ground and hit hard, and then she asked the guy to read books together. The main character looked at the guy who was completely immersed in a book and thought that she would admire him all day. Rayan noticed this and then suggested to the girl that it would be nice if she stopped staring in his direction like that. Hearing this, the girl asks how he knew what she was doing. The guy explains that he couldn't help but know when she was staring like that. And then she says that since she has time to look at him and asks, how about Togo gets the language of the races a little more? The language of the races that Ron spoke of is the international language of the entire continent, due to the fact that this is the second foreign language chosen to study magic in the ancient language. Then the language of the races, one must master it as a native one for life. Truth states that she studied hard and decided to take some time off. And then Cox says that it is he who wants to enter the academy, and she does not understand what she has to do with it. The girl says that the exam is written in an ancient language and claims that he will succeed even if he just continues to look at just one book. Hearing this, the guy asks why she is so sure. At this time, the girl thought that the munchkin with incredible talent did not understand how she knew this and thought that she was mocking him. Truth asks if the academy exam has already been accepted. The guy replies that even if so, there was no reason for him to tell her that. The main character says that there is nothing to be done about the appointment and therefore offers to go to the exam together. Hearing this, the guy says he doesn't want to. The girl claims that he is cruel. Rayan explains that he doesn't want to take the easy way out after all. Besides, if he goes with her, he will attract too much attention. Hearing this, Truth thought that Rayan should enter the academy in order to avoid the Count's supervision. And if the Count finds out that he is leaving, he will immediately put him under surveillance. The girl understands. Although she called the place where Rayan is going, hell, she cannot follow him. And if because of her Rayan's dream collapses, then the conversation is different. The young master turns to the girl and claims that she is very rarely calm, and then say that it's okay because he thinks that along the way, maybe everything will be okay. Because he told the Count that he would take a walk with her while he walked. Hearing this, Truth was surprised, and then asked if he was serious. The main character hugs the guy and says that she is glad because they will definitely take a walk together. And suddenly being reborn, she intervened in the life of Rayan, his favorite character. And so I thought that the plot of the novel would not change much. Truth turns to Lord Rayard and asks what he thinks. He replies that somehow he thinks the same way as she does. The mentor says that he cannot believe that Rayan missed fencing practice. The girl thought that for the first time, what she did not want to change changed by itself. And she understands that if he didn't come here for training, it means that something happened. And I thought that the plot might have changed or the time might have moved. Truth turns to Lord Rayard and asks approximately how long it will take to reach the Earl of Rayan's estate. He replies that at best, about 2 days. The girl suggests that then she can go to the Rayan estate. The Lord says that there is a stable nearby and invites her to go. At this time, the girl thought that she wanted everything to be all right with Ron. After all, according to the plot, Rayan, who returned home after entering the academy, became crazy and cut the throat of the Count, who was about to commit suicide. Truth can't believe this part will happen sooner. And when I opened the door to his house, I saw a guy who was stained with red liquid. Rayan says in surprise that she came to him again. Hearing this, the girl says that for his sake she herself can kill the Count. However, the guy claims that if she doesn't leave, he will finish her off. The main character says that she does not want to leave and will not go anywhere and will not die. The young guy asks the lady if she thinks he will always be kind to her, and then he clutches the sword in his hands. Truth explains that she doesn't think so but wants to be close to him. And then he says that if he's having a hard time, he can tell her, and if he wants something, he can reach out. Because he believes that it is normal to believe and hope, and he has the right to do so. The main character reports that she doesn't think there is anyone around him, and then he reminds him that he said that she is very persistent, and therefore she will be next to him until the last, and even if she runs away, she will follow him. Rayan claims that these are empty words and that's all, and then he says that he doesn't want to listen to any more of this. The lady touches his face and washes off the red liquid, then says it's okay, because that's what she wants to tell him. The girl hugs the guy and says that it was very difficult for him to be alone. By this time, when Rayan had calmed down, Count Rayan still survived thanks to Lord Rayard. And after Lucas's little work, rumors began to spread that the Count had suffered from a stranger. After which, Rayan left the family estate and began to live with Lucas. The main character puts on a cloak and offers to go do good deeds. When Truth sees the stranger with long hair, she says that they did not agree, and then asks if he was waiting for her here the whole time. The man invites the girl to read the letter quickly. The girl took the letter and then said that the curse on it had subsided and he could read it himself. Truth speaks to Rookton. She says that she is sure that now she is definitely useful to him, and so she hopes that he will make another deal with her. The man with long hair says she's quite confident, and then asks what if he doesn't like it. The main character replies that he can kill her, and then she whispers something in his ear, and he agrees with her. The girl brought a beautiful flower to Rayan and invites him to look at it. Seeing this, the guy asks what it is. Istina asks in surprise if these aren't just flowers, and the guy asks a counter-question that these flowers could be a curse. The lady claims that what he said was true and then reports that an even more cruel spell has been cast on this flower than he thinks. And then he says that if he does not accept these flowers, but the guy did not let him finish and agreed to take them. At this time, the main character thought that he would just take them, and when I looked at the guy, I couldn't believe that he was holding flowers. The girl explains that she really didn't think about anything so strange, and Rayan claims that he didn't ask about it. In the language of flowers, Eustoma, unchangeable love. The main character understands that he doesn't know about the language of flowers and something like that, and she is sure of it. At this time, Rayan thought that the flowers were very delicate and easy to break, and in the language of flowers, this is unchanging love. The guy remembers that the Truth hated flowers, and she also called him dirty, like flowers, and therefore she was disgusted to touch him. And as soon as she smelled the aroma of flowers, she immediately complained of a headache. Because of this pain, the girl became even more cruel. But having touched the flowers, the Truth did not complain of a headache. She admired the flowers with tenderness and gave them to him. And the guy just can't believe this. The main character looked at her parents as well as the servants and did not understand why they were sad. And despite the sincere support, she does not understand why the tears begin to flow. Betty asks the mistress if she will bully the students. The Lord claims that the lady will definitely pass the exam at the academy. However, he worries about the well-being of the other students. When the main character heard this, she thought that they were both against her. Meanwhile, it is still a cold early spring and they are already 14 years old, and the main character goes to the academy with Rayan, the driest territory in the Germain Empire called Eastern Grania, and the largest academy in the territory is the Grania Symphony Academy. When the main character saw this academy, she thought it was very cool and she really wanted to apply here. Suddenly, the girl heard the surprise of other girls who said that the truth is from the race of Russia and her hobby is to mock people, and also talk about how she has her own methods of beating people. And other people gossiped that she even collected corpses. After hearing this, the truth doesn't understand why the hell the rumors are so exaggerated. Ron suggests that the lady not interfere in vain and not aggravate the matter. Suddenly, he heard a conversation about how next to this girl was the son of the Rayan Wu clan, who according to rumors only had a cute face, and so he applied to fencing, and this is an attempt to gain popularity and prove himself as a man. At this time, the main character thought that Rayan was not particularly worried about this. Surprisingly, the exams at the Verge Symphony Academy began not with a written test, but with a mastery exam, and only after passing the skill exam can you pass the written test. The teacher called Rayan's number, and at this time the main character thought that no matter how much of a munchkin he was, how could a person be so ideal, and she thought that she was very glad that she had been reborn. Rayan turns to Lady Truth and asks why she froze, and then he says that he understands that the head was given to her only as an ornament, and then she reminds her that she's next in line and they keep calling her. The girl heard her name and then ran to the teacher and said that she was ready. A few hours later, she turns to Rayan and asks how he passed the exam. However, he knows that he still got the highest score, and although he was not lucky, he was very handsome. The young master says that he would like to know how the lady's exam went, and then asks what her grade was. Hearing this, the girl screams for him to shut up, and she thought that she would die of anger since he even looked noble. The main character thought that even though this place is called Dry Land, there are a lot of people in the vicinity of the academy. Rayan says that even if there are a lot of people, they still need to slowly return. But suddenly the girl asks him to wait, and then puts jewelry on his hair and says that he looks cute. The guy doesn't understand that the lady is having so much fun and asks about it. The girl explains that they came to such an amazing place, and of course they should have fun. The young master claims that he does not like this treatment. However, Truth suggests that he should not take off the jewelry since it looks cute and suits him. Ron explains that he shouldn't have fun if he behaves like her. After all, he believes that everyone has their own way of having fun, and then he reports that hairpins and the like don't suit him. Hearing this, Truth objects and says that it suits him. However, the guy claims that they look better on a lady, and then he offers to start by eating and finding a hotel. The young master explains that because the lady is not calm and too cautious, it will be difficult to return to the capital today. Truth saw the house and said it was a hotel. However, the guy claims that she is mistaken about something and then explains that everyone will have their own room. When they entered the hotel, the woman reports that since exam time is in full swing, there is only one free room left. Hearing this, Rayan suggests going somewhere else. However, the woman claims that the situation is the same in other places. The main character invites the guy to just spend the night. Hearing this, he asks if she is serious. The girl explains that they were told that the situation is the same in other places, and he does not want to share the same room with her. The woman says that she thinks her younger brother is very shy, and then it is reported that they are very cute, brother and sister. When they came to the room, the Truth turns to the guy and says that from that moment, he did not say a single word to her and did not even look at her. And at that time, I thought that perhaps he was like this because he was called a younger brother. Truth approaches the guy and touches his head. He asks in surprise what she is doing. The girl explains that she makes a wish for him to become taller. And then he tells him not to worry, because he will grow up in an instant. Rayan tells the girl to stop, and then says that he cannot believe that the Duke's daughter is doing this. The lady explains that she was just petting and then asks what she did wrong. The guy says that's not what he was talking about, and then asks if he needs to explain that to her. The young master reports that people of biologically different genders make one room, and then asks if she understands how others will look at it. Truth doesn't understand why he says that, and then claims that they were told that they are like dear brother and sister, and then says that she doesn't care. Ron believes that in order to be on schedule tomorrow, we need to rest. And then it is announced that he will sleep on the floor since she will occupy the bed. The girl grabs the guy by the hand and invites him to listen. However, he reports that he refuses. She doesn't understand why he said that and says that she hasn't said anything yet. The main character says that there is a bed in the room and then asks, why don't they sleep together? The guy heard this, screamed, and asked if she was in her right mind. Truth asks if he's not very tired today, and then says that he doesn't think it would be comfortable for her to sleep alone, and she thinks that she is scared to sleep in a new place. The girl lay down on the bed, and then says that if he runs away, she will still follow him, and she will travel through cities all night to find him. Rayan realizes that he has nowhere to go, and then he lies down with the girl on the bed because he understands that he needs to fall asleep quickly and return to the capital early tomorrow. At this time, the main character thought that she could not believe that she was lying in the same bed with her beloved person, and then she turns to him and thanks him for not running away today. The young master explains that it still only seemed to him that he could not cope with her strange behavior in an unfamiliar city. Suddenly, the girl smelled a flowery scent that had a pleasant smell, and her mood gradually improved. Ron says that he has already thought about it and she really likes flowers. The lady replies that she likes flowers more than anything else in the world. Hearing this, the guy says that this means her headache is gone. The girl does not understand what he is talking about and then remembers that she had it. And the truth was a character who was irritated by something. And this was not written in the short story, and the girl does not understand what she has to say. Truth reports that she said that after she fell from her horse, she had many dreams and there were many flowers there. And so she believes that this corrected her character and helped a lot because now she likes flowers. Rayan asks what kind of flowers the lady likes. She replies that she likes all the flowers because dreams are really a very good thing and even innate traits can be corrected. The young master invites the girl to stop talking and go to bed. At this time, the girl does not understand why he is ignoring her and then wishes him good night. The next day, Ron tells the lady to hurry up because today is the admission ceremony that everyone has been looking forward to. The main character thought that she was able to pass the entrance exam because after several months of waiting, it became much higher. And now they have the same height, and she doesn't understand what to do. The girl tells the guy that now he is as tall as her. He replies that now he won't look like her little brother. Truth asks if he was still worried about this. And then she says that she heard that an escort is being introduced to the newcomers. The man turns to the young gentleman and says that he will help them and tell them everything they need, since he is a third-year student at the fencing department. And then they introduce themselves to each other. The man offers to introduce them to the academy. He reports that the academy is a boarding school for everyone, and there is a completely separate dormitory for men from women. Hearing this, the main character thought that in order to meet Rayan, she would need to sneak inside. The assistant informs that it is absolutely prohibited for the opposite sex to enter the dormitory, and if they are discovered, they can receive penalty points or be expelled from the academy, and so he invites them to be prudent. Grendel informs them that classes will begin as usual tomorrow, and therefore invites them to look around the academy and make themselves comfortable. Truth thanked him for explaining everything to them. And then she turned to Ron, who was about to leave somewhere, and asked when he would leave the hostel. The boy replies that he plans to stay in while she waits for him. Hearing this, Truth asks if he thinks he's going overboard. He explains that he will come out during the meal, and the main character is thinking about the fact that she needs to go and unpack her suitcases. And when she did this, she thought that it was good that she took Rayan's promise. After all, after this, what she wanted was sure to be done if she entered the academy, meet the villain who is torturing the main character with Terrarosa. Suddenly, a boy approached the girl and greeted her. When she saw him, she was surprised because he is the unrequited love of Terrarosa Moses who is standing in front of her. Moses was one of 4 characters in Liliana's harem. Since he is a brilliant magician, he will become the next chancellor of the empire. However, in the original, he never encountered the truth. The blonde guy turns to Lady Truth and asks if he can tell him straight. Hearing this, the girl was surprised because he knew her name. Moses says that he likes her and holds a bouquet of flowers in his hands, and then he reports that he fell in love with her at first sight. At this time, the main character thought that apparently she hadn't cleaned her ears well, and that's why she heard everything. And she doesn't understand what this accelerated plot development is all about. And then he tells the boy that he is overdoing it with jokes. Moses says he's sorry if she took it as a joke. The lady explains that they have never met, much less spoken. However, he replies that he always knew about her. Istina reports that in this case he should have known the truth. And then she says that if she's bored, she can get caned or kicked all day, and she can also feed people frogs or add poison to food. The blonde boy replies that that's all he knows too. Hearing this, the girl was surprised because knowing all this, he is still in love with her and she considers him crazy. Because he knows that even in the original Moses was a hypocrite, and therefore it is possible that he often makes evil plans in his soul. But when the girl looked at him, she thought that she had no malicious intent, and he had such an expression without a drop of embarrassment. Truth thanked him for his feelings, and then said that she already liked someone. He replies that he knows who she is talking about, and this is Sir Rayan. Having heard this lady, she doesn't understand how he knows all this. Moses asks the girl not to reject him right away, since today he came to tell her about his feelings. After all, she is so rarely alone, so he barely got the chance and decided to tell her about it. The main character claims that he may say so, but then explains that she simply has nothing but Rayan. And after those words, it seemed to her that he was crying, and she asked why he was doing this. Hearing this, the guy was surprised and asked if he was crying now, and then he asks for forgiveness and explains that he kept holding back his feelings and came to meet, but she constantly refuses him. In the novella, he was artificial in his work and emotionless, but when it came to love, he was completely inexperienced, and the main character wanted to caress such Moses, and so she became very interesting to him. Istina reflects on the fact that, unfortunately, she is not at all interested in the thought of creating her own harem, and therefore he understands that if he consoles him, then will he give him hope? And then she tells Lord Moses to stop crying. Hearing this, the blonde guy claims that she is a heartless person. Istina says that even though he claims so, nothing can be done, and therefore that she will in no way be able to please him. Moses says she says it so confidently. And the lady replies that if not Rayan, then no one, because she likes him, and she never once thought about a future without him. At this time, the main character remembers that she never told him that she liked him, and then she tells Moses that she remembered something and needs to run. The girl remembers that Rayan said that he would go out to the feast, and therefore thinks that he should be near the dining room. And when she entered the corridor, she saw him. The blonde guy was surprised when he saw the lady, and then says that she said that she would rest in the room, and he does not understand what she has already done during this time. Truth turns to the guy and tells him that she needs to tell him something. Hearing this, he became interested, and at that time she thought about why she had never told him this. After all, she understands that she really wanted to have him in her life. The main character looks at Rayan and says that she likes him, and then screaming repeats these words. However, when Rayan heard, he suggested that the girl stop talking like that. Hearing this, the lady does not understand why he is like this and asks about it. Then she notices that he is embarrassed. Truth turns to him and asks if he is okay, and then she touches his face with her palm and asks him to stand still. Rayan tells the girl to stop this behavior and then asks if she doesn't know anything about embarrassment. Having heard this, the girl does not understand what to do, and then says that she does not know at all what it is. And at that time, I thought about how it's possible not to love him. The main character hugs the guy and says that she likes him more than anyone in the world, and she thought that even if he grumbles, she will go to the end, and she will speak sweet words to him so that he will never regret anything. The next day, Truth looked in her briefcase and thought that she had taken everything she needed, and so she put everything together perfectly for the beginning of the first lesson. And then she remembers that earlier at this time she always practiced fencing with Rayan. Truth wondered if there was a training room at the academy, and will they be able to continue training together, and will they be on good terms? Suddenly Moses approached the lady and greeted her. Seeing him, the girl was scared. He says it is his luck to see her. At this time, the main character thought that her experience of stalking Rayan was telling her that this was a failure. The main character addresses him as a blonde guy and reminds him of what she said yesterday. However, the guy claims that he doesn't remember this, that there was something besides the fact that he said hello to her, and therefore he doesn't have to try so hard. Rayan comes up to them, And when the girl saw the two guys together, she thought that there was a very bad relationship between them. Moses explains to Rayan that they only greeted Lady Truth yesterday. The girl says that it seems there was a misunderstanding, but yesterday they really just said hello, and then asks, why don't they greet each other too? After these words, the guys introduce themselves to each other. Moses says that he is honored to meet Ser Rayan, who is now in the spotlight. And then he reports that he had no thought of becoming his rival, and on the contrary, he only wanted to get closer to him. Rayan reveals that he also did not want to become his enemy. However, he has no desire to continue communicating with him. Hearing this, the main character thought that she felt a chill go down her spine because he was so cold and inhospitable. Rayan turns to Lady Truth and asks how long she will stand there like an idol. The girl apologizes and then says she's going. But suddenly, Moses grabs the girl by the hand and stops her, and then he says that he likes her, and therefore he will not provoke his opponent, since he does not have the terrible hobby of creating misunderstanding. Hearing this, the girl does not understand what he is talking about. The blonde guy explains that if she doesn't know, then it will do. And so he would be honored if it made her think about him even a little. The lady replies that she will never think about him. And then it is reported that if this happens again in the future, she will never forgive him. And she turns around and leaves thinking that he pisses her off. After all, she doesn't understand why this crazy person behaves like this with her. She thinks that one way or another, next time she will definitely draw the line between them. Truth invites Rayan to go together. And when they entered, he asked if this was a pharmacy office. The girl noticed very stern looks from other students. And the teacher suggests starting the lessons and taking their seats and uniting in a group of two people. Because today they will practice the consciousness of the basis for the medicine. Truth grabs Rayan's hand and invites them to work together. And at this time, she does not understand how she knows the names of all the ingredients that Rayan spoke about, because she understands that she did not teach them, but it feels like she instinctively knows them. The girl reflects on the fact that this could be part of the knowledge that the truth itself had. And then she says that it infuriates her, and she does not understand what kind of practice it is from the first lesson. The girl who was sitting at the next table reports that she is about to die of hunger and therefore offers to finish a little faster. Hearing this, the truth tells her to put down the horn. However, the girl with black hair claims that she will do it without her words. Truth looked at the horn and thought that at first glance, it looked like Matthias's horn. After all, it was one of the ingredients of the medicine. Well, the color is more saturated, and therefore it is determined that the horn of Centauros is an ingredient for making poison. And this girl puts this horn in the pan. The main character turns to her neighbor and invites her to wait. And then screaming, she says that she cannot add this horn because she considers it dangerous. But as it turned out, she said this, but the girl did not listen to her and still threw it into the pan. And at this time, the main character thought about what the fuck. When Truth opened her eyes, she saw that he quickly extinguished everything and thought that a weight had been lifted from her shoulders because the fire had not started. But suddenly, she felt that she was injured and did not understand when she had time. Rayan cleanses the wound with liquid and then reports that the pain will subside a little, and he invites the girl to go to the infirmary. The teacher invites them not to worry about the lesson and go to the infirmary. And then the boy grabs the girl's hand and asks her to go faster. A few minutes later, they found themselves in the infirmary, and Rayan, with the help of magic, healed the girl's wound. She asks in surprise when he learned magic because she thinks it's amazing. The guy explains that there is nothing surprising since he is just doing the same thing as others. And then she tells her that this is just a temporary treatment and she needs to take better care of herself. And it seems to him that she needs to be a little more careful. Since she is playing with fire, she may get burned. The main character explains that the ingredient was wrong, and so she decided to stop it before it got into the fire. Rayan claims that he had a talent for pharmaceuticals since childhood. Having heard this, the main character does not understand how to answer her. And then he remembers that in the novella, the truth fed mainly Rayan with its prepared poisons. And therefore he understands that no matter what she says, it will only make Rayan even more painful. Truth says it's not that she's gifted, it's just that he really confuses her. Hearing this, the guy was surprised and then says that he even doubts what he was sure of for a long time. And then he remembers that now he will forget about the old things, because her hand is most important. The main character heard this and wondered what he was sure about her. and he assumes that he meant that he used to be sure of something about her, but now he's not. Rayan took the ointment and applied it to the wound. At this time, the girl felt that his hands were very soft, and he would like time to stop now. And then he says that it would be nice if he continued touching like that. Hearing this, the guy asks if she knows about shame. Since she says this, at this time the girl thought that she had blurted out something wrong, and then she explains that she simply misspoke. Suddenly Rayan touched the girl's lips. And then he tells the lady that this will be a request, and therefore asks just not to say anything but to sit quietly. He argues that next time she should be prudent and heal the wound properly. The guy says that since they left right in the middle of the lesson, it seems to him that it's still a long time until lunch. However, he understands that it's too late to return, and then asks if there is a place she would like to go. Hearing this, the main character was happy, and then announced that she wanted to go somewhere. When they came to the library, the girl was surprised because she saw a lot of books, and then I thought that she should start with a book on pharmacy. After all, in fact, the reason why she wanted to come to the library was because she wanted to test her hypothesis. The main character understands that if her hypothesis is correct, then this feeling is one way or another, and all the knowledge of the truth about pharmaceuticals can now be hers. The girl thinks it's surprising because just by looking at the pictures, what ingredient and its effect and combinations with it emerge in her head. And she understands that even with just this ability, she can already do a lot. Suddenly, the main character felt a pain in her head from being hit by a book. And then Rayan says that you can't shout so loudly in the library. Truth explains that she came to choose a book, but suddenly felt a pain in her head, and she does not understand why he throws books around so much. Rayan explains that he only wanted her to be quiet because she was disturbing other people. Hearing this, the main character thought that she didn't even know what to answer. The guy says that he doesn't know what she wants, and then explains that he found only these in the first library of books on pharmaceuticals. The girl asks in surprise whether he has already found all this for her. Rayan explains that he did a little searching. Hearing this, she thanked him and said that she was very happy, and then hugged him, and at that time she thought that she really liked him. Truth reflects that she cannot believe that every morning it will be just the two of them going to class, and she realizes that this is exactly what she wanted. Suddenly, Moses approaches them and says that he is glad to see them both. After all, this is a surprise for him. He asks if they are going to class, and then turns to Rayan sir and inquires which lecture he is going to attend. Rayan replies that he doesn't think he needs to know. Massey reports what he has chosen, an in-depth study of the ancient language of dark magic, and then asks if maybe they have the same items. At this time, the main character does not understand how Moses managed to do this since he was able to interfere when they were alone. And then she realizes that he chose the subject and that Rayan does not teach this subject to her either. And she understands that now, perhaps they will communicate. Truth thought that she didn't know what this puppy was up to, so she thought she should look, because one way or another she will bring him to clean water. To study magic in the Empire, the ancient language was necessary, and the way to use magic was not to read the ancient language out loud to oneself. So an in-depth ancient language was a necessary lesson to improve one's magic class. During the lesson, the main character thought that it was good that Moses sat down with her. But he understands that it is difficult if a person who takes advantage of universal popularity is the first to pretend that he knows it. Truth approaches Sir Moses after the end of the lesson, and then says that she wanted to tell him something and asks if he can come with her. Hearing this, the guy claims that it is an honor for him. At this time, the main character thought that he was laughing now, and therefore she was once again convinced that he was not a simple psycho. And then she noticed that the other students were staring at them, and they were afraid that she might finish Moses off. And then I thought that she could scare them. Moses asks the lady what business she came to him for. When the girl heard this, she thought that he was very relaxed now, and therefore this would probably confuse him extremely. Truth says she was actually very happy when he admitted that he liked her. Hearing this, the guy says that he is very happy because she was thinking about it. The main character says that she likes to drink people's blood, and then asks if he will give her his blood. And at that time I thought that what she was saying was very frightening, and the guy felt cold, and now he wants to run away. However, the girl doesn't understand why he doesn't run away, And at that time, she thought that she was playing the role poorly, and therefore she needed to try better. The truth says that the blood flowing through the torn flesh of Sir makes her heart tremble just as much, and therefore he offers to quickly give her his blood. And then he says that if he does not give it, then she can pierce him herself. At this time, the main character thought that he could run away quickly. However, the guy turns to the lady and asks how much will be enough. And then he claims that for her sake, he can not only give up his shelter, but also everything she wants. Moses says that it must be difficult for her to believe his words. And then he says that he will cut his throat right now. At this time, the girl looked at him and thought that he was using attack magic on himself. And then, screaming, she tells him to stop. The guy asks in surprise if he did something wrong. He wonders if she needs another part. However, the lady objects and says that this is not it and she does not need any other part. And at that time, she thought that this psycho was ready for anything, and he infuriated her. Truth reminds that she said to give him her blood, but there was nothing about the whole body. The guy says that he is ready to give her his blood now. The main character objects and says that he can give it to her whenever she wants. And then she explains that now her interest has disappeared. He says that if the lady wants something, then he will do it. The girl thought that he was a psychopath, and she no longer understood whether she could defeat this man. Moses turns to Lady Truth and says that he will not fall for such a game. She explains that it's not a game at all, and she wasn't pretending. The guy says that, then he will give it to her right now. Hearing this, the girl objects and says that there is no need to do this. And then he says that even if he doesn't do this now, someday she will suddenly appear and deal with him. Moses says that he is waiting impatiently since she will be the first to come to him. And even from the thoughts, his soul is already joyful. And then asks if he can look forward to this with joy. The main character says that he didn't even dare to think that to himself. And then he comes closer to her and whispers in her ear that he likes her. And then he says that he would be honored if, because of what just happened, she would think a little more about him. Hearing this, the lady objects and says that there is no way such a thing will happen. And then she remembers that Rudden had a weak spot. And then she says that she is curious about something and does not understand why Moses confessed to her so suddenly. The guy explains that he fell in love with her at first sight. And from that moment when he first saw her at a festive evening, the truth tells him not to lie. However, Moses claims that it was too romantic, and then smiles. The lady explains that she doesn't believe in such romantic talk, and at that time I thought that Moses was an evil character inside, and therefore did not believe that he could fall in love with her at first sight. Moses explains that both the fact that he likes her and the fact that he saw her at the festive evening are true. If she is interested in real details, then why he liked her he can explain. The main character reports that this is enough since she will never like him anyway, and her feelings for Rayan will never change. The lady argues that it is sad but true, and his suffering is useless. Suddenly Moses starts crying, and then apologizes as he is not good at controlling it. At this time, the girl thought that she could no longer speak so harshly, and besides, when he cries he is beautiful and this is not fair. Moses turns to the girl and says that even if she doesn't like him, he likes her. And that's why he suggests not telling him to give up. At this time, the main character thought that she liked Rayan, and knowing that she was irresponsibly in love with someone, he told her this. And if she is told to refuse Rayan, she will be so hurt that she will not be able to stand it. Truth understands that nothing can be done, and she does not want to give Moses hope. At this time, the blonde guy asks the lady if she thought at least a little more about him. She replies that not at all, and then says that she is leaving. The main character thought that somewhere deep down in her soul she was tormented by her conscience. Truth addresses Rayan and then apologizes for being late. He replies that he wasn't expecting her. At this time, other girls who were in the hall say that this is the evil lady, the Truth, and if you lock eyes with her, you can expect trouble. And then they quickly finished their meal and left. Hearing this, the girl thought that she was hearing everything, but she realized that thanks to this, she had the feeling that they were on a date. The waiter brought them their order, and when she looked at the fried chicken, she didn't understand why it looked so delicious. And then he wishes you bon appetit. Well, when the girl took a bite, the taste made her even forget her status. Truth looked at Rayan and what he had on his plate, and then asked if this was enough for him. The guy replies that if he is or not, it shouldn't concern her. However, the girl claims that it would be better to eat some meat. He replies that he doesn't want meat, and that's enough for him. The lady claims that you cannot and should eat meat from time to time, and then he takes a piece of meat and offers it. Ron tells her to stop because her behavior is inappropriate. At this time, she thought that he would refuse meat until the end, and then he remembers that before he used to eat some of the meat she cooked. Suddenly, the main character thought that she might be sleeping after all, swaying hair the color of the sea, and eyes blue as the sky. And just look at her appearance, and it's immediately clear that she is her favorite character from the novel by Tyrant. The main character reflects on the fact that in the short story, it was constantly mentioned that she was beautiful, but after looking at her in reality, she understood why the author focused so much attention on this. Finally, the moment has come when she can become Terrarosa's friend. A girl with blue hair approaches the main character and asks if she is the true lady from the rumors. Truth replies that she can't believe she knows her, and then says that it is an honor for her. Terrarosa reports that she was watching her, and something was bothering her as she was eating the turkey with her hands. And then he asks that if she comes straight from an aristocratic family, then could she refrain from doing this? Because she loses her appetite when she sees such bad manners. At this time, the main character cannot believe that she was told such a thing at their first meeting with Terrarosa, and she realizes that she couldn't do anything about her habit of eating her favorite chicken. And so she understood that the girl with blue hair as a person with mysophobia was very irritated by this. Istina understands that it's not so cool to listen to reproaches from her favorite character. Terrarosa apologizes and then asks the lady if she is listening to her. Truth replies that she will no longer eat turkey with her hands, and then asks if she could listen to one of her requests. The girl with blue hair does not understand what she is talking about and asks about it. And then it is reported that she is thinking of diverting her attention and striking her. The main character asks the girl to call her by name. Hearing this, Terraros asks in surprise what she is talking about. After all, she does not understand what a strange request is. At this time, the Truth thought that this lady's confused face made her an even bigger fan, that she couldn't even help herself, so she thought that she should try. Truth crying out the name of Terraros. And when Rayan approached them, she said that he was bothering her. The girl with blue hair turns to Lady Truth in surprise and says that she humiliated her so much, and that's why she will remember it. And then he leaves. The main character asks in confusion that Terraros did not leave. Ron turns to the lady and says that she is truly an unpredictable person and thinks that she can stick it out on anyone. Hearing this, the girl objects and says that she just liked Terraros. The guy says that according to her logic, if she likes someone, she will immediately run to hug him regardless of gender. Truth turns to Ron and asks why he is angry. Hearing this, he objects and says that it's nothing like that, since he just needs to finish his meal. And then he leaves and invites the girl not to call him again. After these words, the main character does not understand what is wrong with her loved one. The next day, Truth suggests that Rayan should go faster. He replies that he is going without her words. The main character thought that Moses did not show up this morning, and so she and Rayan were able to spend the morning just the two of them. After all, she reflects on the fact that she is still confused by the appearance of Moses, because he believes that her appearance confused the plot and perhaps this is a side effect. The girl understands that she does not want to harm Moses further, and so she hopes that if there is a thread connecting them, it will break. When they came to the field together, Truth was surprised because she saw that everyone had been training since the morning. The guy with red hair says that this can't happen, and in any case, he doesn't understand how it could come to this, in a place like this. The main character asks if it's true that they seriously wanted to attack Lady Terrarosu in the dining room, and she also wonders if she shouldn't be kicked out. The guy offers to look at her family after she was kicked out. And then he claims that this is truly a shame for the family, and he claims that a girl who knows what it means to be a disgrace to the family will do this. The guy with red hair asks if she's saying that a girl like that can get scolded, and then it is reported that she will be promoted later anyway, and only if she meets her and doesn't stop her. At this time, the main character thought about how he is a person trying to attack her. Terraros talk to her like that, and she thinks of personally coming to him. But suddenly the girl realized that they were talking about the attack on Terrarosa, and they meant her, and she understood this from their looks. Suddenly, Roan approaches the rest of the students and says that if they want to have a duel, they must choose him. The main character recalls that challenging an opponent was only allowed within the academy itself, and this meant that the person had officially registered the fight. However, now she already calls it old stuff, but she doesn't understand whether he really dislikes her so much that he challenged him to a duel in this way. Truth suggests that he did this because of the sad rumors about her, and after thinking a little, she decided that this was something important, and she was sure that there was a more compelling reason for it. The lady with red hair turns to the guy and at the same time points her finger at him and asks if he likes toreros. Hearing this, the guy angrily asks what happened all of a sudden. And at this time, the main character thought that this was really so. After all, the girl with blue hair is really very beautiful, and she is also so gentle. How can you not love her? Truth remembers that Tararosi has sea-colored hair, beautiful full-eye experience of the radiance of the sky. And then she says out loud that she will only think about how she touches her beautiful white skin. At this time, Roan speaks vilely so that she does not think that anyone else shares her strange thinking. The guy with red hair says he thinks so too, and then he claims that Lady Toreros is incredibly attractive. And then he screaming says that this is not only a matter of appearance because her character is the same as charm. Truth says that she is so cool one way or another. You want to continue listening to her reproaches. And the guy supports her and says that she is saying everything correctly. And then she claims that her defiant eyes when she begins her reproaches are simply incredible. The main character says that she also really likes toreros, but she also likes Rayan. The girl thought that Rayan was very cool because he has quick and restrained gestures, and Rayan's fencing like his face perfectly suits his fame at the highest level. Suddenly, the guy with red hair turns to the girl and then screaming. He says that he doesn't know what she's up to and says that he won't change his mind about the fight. Hearing this, the main character thought that she was sorry because she wanted to achieve mutual understanding a little more. And then she announces that she accepts the challenge. Rayan asks the girl in surprise what she is thinking about, and then he reminds him that she just recently burned her hand, and he doesn't understand what kind of fight he's talking about. Truth explains that the burn is only minor and she can continue fencing, and therefore if anyone challenges her to a duel, she will accept the challenge. And at that time I thought that, moreover, if Rayan had raised the sword instead of her, there would definitely have been a misunderstanding. The main character reflects on the fact that she does not want to appear as a coward to everyone. And then thanks Rayan, however he doesn't understand why his friend is talking to him like that. The girl reports that he used to want to protect her. However, he objects and says that she imagined it. Rayan explains that a person with a burn cannot fight, and therefore only wanted to replace her. Having heard this, the Truth invites him not to deny it right away, but to finally admit it. The guy argues that first she should stop giving him importance because he said she doesn't. However, the girl claims that he is lying and he denies it all. Truth reports that it knows nothing, hears nothing, and doesn't care, because she thought that he was protecting her, and that's why she was so happy. The guy replies that she should think as she wants, and then smiled. Hearing this, the main character thought that he was still a liar, and she knew that he was worried about her, and this made her soul so happy, and she reflects on the fact that now they have become a little closer with Rayan. The main character turns to the guy and asks if he hates her now. However, he remained silent, and she thought that he still hated her, and she thought that now she also needs to try a little, and he admits it. The guys who heard that the boy with red hair challenged the noblewoman to a duel. They say that as soon as he thinks of doing something like this again, they will tell his parents and he will immediately be kicked out of the academy. Truth listened to their conversation and thought that there would be aristocrats who would attack the boy, and they will do this in order to then supposedly start a dialogue with her. And so she understands that the guess, oddly enough, was correct. The main character approaches the guys and then screaming asks what they are doing since she understands that it's 2 against 1. This is not fair, and also wonders if they are ashamed. The guy explains that this is not what she thought, and then says that he, an orphan, dared to challenge the lady to a duel. The girl says that she accepted his challenge and then asks if they find her decisions funny. Hearing this, the guys were confused because they didn't know what they should answer, and the lady tells them not to try anything like that again. And then the guys ran away. Truth asks the guy with red hair if he's okay. He replies that she is wrong if she thinks that her past where she bullied everyone will disappear if she helped him. The main character claims that this is not so and she in no way thinks so. It's okay to consider you a person who bullied everyone before, but now he's trying his best to become a good person. The girl claims that for the sake of this she was not distracted by anything and wanted to go to a duel with him as expected. And then it is reported that apart from this, she really did not have any plans. Istina reports that she could not ask before and then asks him to tell him her name because she has yet to fight him, and she calls her name Truth. The guy says his name is Ashley, and then he says that he will not thank her for today. The girl replies that she did not want any gratitude at all. However, Ashley doesn't hear her and leaves. Roan turns to the lady and says that he thinks she has changed because unlike in the past when she didn't let anyone but him in, and so he thinks this is a great change in her. At this time, the main character thought that in fact initially she thought that it would be enough for her to just be with him. However, now she understands that she has awakened a desire for everyone to know that she is with Rayan. The girl understands that it is naturally difficult to get recognition from everyone. Suddenly, Moses asks the lady if she has been studying since this morning, and then it is reported that he really missed her and was in a hurry to meet her. However, he sees that her reaction is sensitive and therefore hurts his feelings. Truth asks the guy why he stops coming again like yesterday. Hearing this, Moses asks if the lady noticed that he was not there yesterday. And then he says that he is glad because everything went according to his plan and that she thought more and more about him. Hearing this, the main character objects and says that he is mistaken since all her thoughts are now only about Rayan. Moses says that he is very sorry, and at that time the girl realized that he was not the least bit sad because he was so annoying that I wanted him to come. Suddenly the guys come up to them and thank Moses for calling them. Seeing their lady, she remembered that these people bullied Ashley last time. The guys ask why Lady Truth is with him now. Moses explains that they are lady friends and then hugs her. At this time, the main character does not understand what he is talking about. The blonde guy asks the guys if they see him. Truth asks if they are friends with him. Moses asks if they heard it, and then he reports that the lady said that they are not friends with her yet. However, he would really like to become her friend. The blonde guy reveals that Lady Truth doesn't bother him and he just wants to be her friend. And then asks the guys if they understood it after all. He believes that these rumors can quickly spread and invites them to see each other at a magic lesson. The main character asks the guy if he called them here on purpose. He replies that he simply doesn't like ridiculous rumors. However, the lady claims that she never thought of becoming friends with him. Moses says that he has the purest intentions. He wants to make friends with her, and also with Sir Rayan. Hearing this, the girl does not understand why he mentioned Rayan's name. Suddenly, Rayan reports that it's just morning and everything is fine with them. Mine explains that in order to become friends, you need a good attitude, and this means that he wants to become closer with him. Rayan replies that he doesn't want to and refuses it, and then it is reported that he is going to the training room. Truth says she understands, and then asks if he will get there alone. And then she reports that she has a conversation with Sir Moses. Ron tells the lady to do as she wants. Moses turns to the girl and says that she is cheating. However, she doesn't understand what he's talking about. The blonde guy explains that because of her, his opponent is starting to open his eyes and he is not at all happy. However, the girl does not understand his words and asks him to explain it to her. Moses says the lady is going overboard and he doesn't want to continue this conversation anymore because he is more interested in knowing why she stayed here. Hearing this, the main character does not understand and believes that Moses' ability to cry was passed on to her. After all, she knows what Rayan has always rejected her, and she doesn't understand why she's suddenly crying. Moses touches the girl, and she rejects his hand and says that she does not need comfort from him or anything like Togo. However, the guy does not understand why Lady reminds him that he said that he likes her, and therefore does not want to give him hope. At this time, the main character thought that she now wanted to run to Rayan, but did not want to appear in front of him in this form. Moses hugs the girl. She tells him to let her go because she said that she does not need to be consoled. The guy says that this is a good opportunity for him, but the lady objects and says that this is not true at all. The blonde guy asks the lady what's bothering her. She replies that it's nothing special and that it's much more important. She's interested in how long he will follow her. Moses replies that he won't get to the training room yet, and then says that he doesn't particularly like leaving girls crying. The lady says it's an unnecessary courtesy. The guy says that despite the fact that she cried so much, it seems to him that she is still sad. The girl explains that this is a matter and she initially looked like this. Massey turns to the girl and asks if she can look at him for a moment. At this time, the truth thought that she only thought of him as an annoying jerk to an unexpected guest, but he was actually skilled enough to become a great magician in the future. Moses turns to the lady and gives her a flower and tells her that a smile suits her much better. And then he claims that if she's crying for him that much, she should go. The girl thanked him and then left. Rayan asks Truth why she is late and then asks if she forgot that she has a fight in a week, because he thinks she needs to train hard. The girl replies that she knows, and next time she will never be late. He says that apparently the conversation with Sir Moses has already ended, and then looking at the girl, he asks in surprise why she was crying. Truth asks the guy how he figured it out. He replies that he only needs to look into her eyes to understand this. And then she says that if she feels bad, she can say so. And if he wants something, he can stretch out his hand, hope wait, and all this is normal. Roan says that maybe morning tears will spoil the schedule a little, but he thinks it's okay a little. At this time, the main character thought that she had always thought that only she was protecting him. But in fact, he was protecting her and worried about her. The guy looked at the girl and said that she was even crying somehow. Strange. She replies that the strange thing is that he noticed it at all. Rayan says that he is not eager to touch her, but then he takes her and hugs her. He says that class will start soon, so it will be much better if she stops crying soon, and he explains that this is just a one-time event, so that she stops crying. The guy says that tomorrow is a must. She must come for training because the sword will rust if you leave it even for a day. Rayan asks if Moses made her cry. However, the girl replies that he had nothing to do with it. On the contrary, he consoled her and even gave her a flower. Truth asks the guy if he still hates her, and he asks if he has a reason to hate her. The girl reminds him that she mocked him. Ron explains that she then started stalking him even though he said he hated her. And then he says that now he likes it all. The guy says that if they don't hurry up, they will definitely be late. Truth grabs the guy's hand and then asks what he meant. After all, she understands that she can pursue him. He replies that she can think as she wants. The girl reports that then she will pursue him even more. Rayan says that he would be grateful if she didn't hit on Sir Moses so much. She replies that she will not go with him. Hearing this, the guy ran away. The girl caught up with Rayan and then asks what that just meant. Suddenly, a girl with black hair comes up to her and thanks her for that incident. And then it is reported that due to her carelessness, a fire almost happened, but she stopped it. And so she apologizes again. Hearing this, the main character was surprised because she did not understand whether she was asking for her forgiveness. The girl with black hair turns to Rayan and also thanks him for stopping the fire. And then he claims that if everything is in order, then he asks to accept a small present from her. When the red-haired lady saw this, she thought it was a cure for burns. And he understands that they admitted their mistake and even brought medicine. And she thinks it must have been difficult for them to even start a conversation with her. Truth thanks the girl and then says that she will definitely use it. Rayan approaches the girl and closes her eyes. At this time, she shouts that nothing is visible and then reports that they have not finished the conversation yet. However, the guy says that class will start and they need to go. The swordmaster says he is grateful for the medicine and everything else. And then he says that that's all and invites them to return to class. Truth asks if she had such a creepy expression on her face that she even had to cover it up. Hearing this, the guy smiled and then turned to the lady and told her not to make him angry. The girl thinks that this means that she did something wrong and therefore thinks that she needs to practice more and smile. Truth turns to the guy and says that if he is looking for medicine, then she used a little of what was given. He claims that the medicines were produced not long ago, and therefore the sooner they are used, the better. Hearing this, the girl thought that he cares about her so much and perhaps this is heaven. The guy turns to the lady and invites her to try not to get into trouble in the future. However, it seems to her that in recent days he has been very strange. However, she admits the idea that he may be mistaken. The next day, Truth thought that the day had come and she would have to fight with this puppy. Rayan asks the lady why she is so twitchy. The girl asks in surprise if she is nervous now. The guy reminds him that he said it was easy to read. At this time, the main character thought that this trembling feeling turned out to be excitement. Rayan says that she has nothing to worry about since she remembers who trained her in fencing and who she sparred with. And then she says that she greatly underestimates herself. The guy tells the girl that she doesn't have to worry too much. The lady thanks the guy and then says that she will try. Istina doesn't understand why the hell so many people have gathered. And at that time, I thought that she wanted to scare everyone away from here. The guys started talking among themselves that if Lady Russia loses to a commoner, then it's a shame. And then he says that he heard that she accepted the prizes because she wanted to. And then it is reported that she accepted the challenge because she wanted to. Truth greets the guys and then comes to them and says that if they talk like that one more time, then perhaps they will lose their language. Hearing this, they got scared and left. The main character thought that she did not want to make enemies, but there was no need to get close to such people. And it seems to her that for the first time she is glad that she is an aristocrat. Truth turns to Ashley and tells him to take care of the fight today. He says so should she. At this time, the girl thought that she was very worried, but since Rayan supported her, she could win. And she understands that for a person like her who has been fencing not long ago, it is clear that Ashley is a difficult opponent. However, it turned out that his movement was much slower than she thought. And so, she understood what Rayan meant. Because she always trained with the best knights in the Empire. The main character remembers that during the entrance exams, almost all her thoughts were about Rayan, and therefore she did not think about it. And therefore, perhaps she is not as weak as she thinks because she wants to end the fight with one blow. The guy with red hair reports that he lost Lady, says she was glad to fight him. And at that time I thought that if he liked toreros, then perhaps they could become friends. Truth turns to Ashley and says that she would like to be friends with him. Hearing this, the guy is surprised and asks if she wants him to be friends with a man who bullied strangers. The girl says if he thinks it won't work out. Ashley says that if this is punishment for humiliating her, then someday he will accept it. And then he shakes her hand and says that although he is offended, he recognizes her skill. Truth says that's enough for her and then thanks him, because she understands that the fight with Ashley was successful and this makes her happy. And before the end, she was able to become even stronger. The main character looked at Rayan and did not understand what was wrong with his expression, and she wondered if she really showed herself well in the fight. However, Rayan left without even congratulating her, and so she stood there a little disappointed. Rayan all the time because she doesn't understand why he made such a face. And she didn't want to resort to this, but apparently this is all that remains, and she will just sneak up on him secretly. Walking along the corridor, Truth thought that she knew very well where his room was. She is a faithful reader and has read this part several hundred times. However, the girl realizes that the room has been sealed with magic, and she needs a password. The main character reflects on the fact that, for her, it's like 2 fingers on the asphalt and she's a fan. A few minutes later, the door opened and she saw the guy. Rayan reports what he heard and thought it seemed to him, and then he says that he couldn't even think that she would really come to him. Hearing this, the girl thought that coming to him was too much, and then it's reported that he just left without almost saying a word, and she wanted to ask why. Rayan grabs the lady's hand and she looks at him and asks what's wrong with him. At this time, the guy remembers his father's words that no one will ever love him and no one will need him because he considers his existence useless. His father told him to listen to his words, and therefore his existence would become at least a little more useful. The guy thought that he didn't know how much longer he would live like this, and he would like it all to end. Rayan remembers that Truth fell from her horse because of this and went crazy. And he also suggests that she might just be capricious, because she is the one who always looked down on him and suddenly started smiling at him. The guy remembers that she pretended that this was an accident and stubbornly followed him, even receiving refusals. However, he intuitively knew that she could not be trusted, and I thought so because her actions were not sincere. But the only thing he hoped for was someone's warm hand. Rayan couldn't believe that the only person who extended a hand to him was the Truth. After all, feelings that he could not even imagine were helplessly destroyed in the smile of Truth, and they gradually weakened under the influence of the Truth. The guy doesn't understand why she strives with all her might to be with him, and it seems even loves him. And to be honest, he began to doubt whether he had gone crazy, because it was true that he hated holidays and flowers, and sometimes he even thought that perhaps she was someone else. However, he understands that now it doesn't matter to him whether her feelings for him were sincere or not, because he won't let her go. Rayan took the girl by the face and thought that now only he would remain in her eyes. Truth apologizes because he doesn't like that she even made it to the room, and then asks if she did something wrong. The guy turns to the girl and reminds her that she said that she likes Lady Toreros, and she smiles when she receives medicine from others and when Sir Moses gave her flowers. And also to the losing opponent in the duel, she extended her hand and smiled. Truth asks in surprise what the problem is, because she doesn't quite understand what she's talking about right now. Rayan wonders if she really doesn't know, and that's why he asks. And then he kisses her. At this time, the main character does not understand what is happening. The guy says her smile makes him angry. Truth turns his face and then asks if he accidentally got sick. Rayan says that the lady always touched him as if nothing had happened, but when he touches her, she always makes a face like this, as if she wants to run away, and then asks if she thinks that only she has special rights to touch. The guy claims that there is no way the lady can escape now. She says she understands and then suggests that he stop joking. Rayan grabs the girl again and then hugs and kisses her. Truth says that she really likes him and therefore suggests that he not do this again, because it may not be a big deal to him, but it matters to her. The guy says that he touched her and doesn't understand how anyone could care, and then asks how long she plans to drive him crazy. But she always looks only at him and thinks only about him. He says that if she thinks that by coming here she can wash her hands, then he will not forgive her. At this time, the main character thought that perhaps he was still jealous and afraid that she would leave him. Truth hugs the guy and says he doesn't have to worry about it. And then she assures that from now on, no matter what happens, she will never let him go. The girl thought that this was the unbreakable promise she made to Rayan, and the words that she most wanted to tell him now. And then, it is reported that she really likes him. In the end, the Truth couldn't even sleep. After all, after this time he secretly escorted her to the women's dormitory. She said she wanted to be with him a little more, but he immediately refused. And he explained the reason that if this continues, he will not be able to restrain himself. Sitting in bed, the girl reflects on the fact that it is precisely because of these words that she cannot sleep. After all, even a kiss with Rayan is too much for her. And unlike in the past, once again her confidence suddenly disappeared. And now, at the sight of him, she feels like ice cream. In the next morning, as a result, she went out earlier than usual to meet Rayan. The girl thought that if it weren't for him, she wouldn't have come out at such a time. Moses turns to the main character and says that it's only morning, and she's already confused. Truth says that if he keeps showing up so unexpectedly, however, he says Lady Truth was stunning yesterday. The blonde guy explains that he means that she has excellent fencing skills, and then asks why she was so confused, and he was interested in something besides this. The lady replies that nothing of the sort happened, of course, and at this time I thought that she did not intentionally begin to remember last night. Moses says that he thought so because the lady is a very interesting person. At this time, the girl does not understand why he is approaching her. At this time, Rayan turns to the guy and asks him not to lean so close to the lady. When Truth saw Rayan, she thought that that evening was constantly popping up before her eyes, and that's why I don't even have the courage to look him in the eyes. Moses greeted Rayan and he replied that he had no desire to greet him. The main character thought that she still did not have enough courage, and then, screaming, she turned to Rayan and said that he did not misunderstand her and listen to her, since today she will go alone. And this is because she doesn't want to. She just needs some time. A surprised Moses asks Rayona if he will follow Lady Truth. He replies that he thinks he has no reason to tell him anything. At this time, Rayan realized his feelings for the Truth, and to some extent, this may be madness. From this moment, someone will become a house, and it could be her or him. Tararosa came to Moses. He asks in surprise what business she came for. The girl with blue hair asks if the annual events are his idea. We now answer yes. Tararosa says that in addition to the fact that they combined the faculty of magic and fencing, they were also sent to the forest of monsters to hunt for revenge. And then, she says that her partner will also be Lady Truth from the fencing department. and she doesn't understand how this can be and asks about it. Moses says she already knows because rumors have spread quickly. However, the girl does not understand why her partner is Lady Truth. The blonde guy replies that unfortunately it was not his decision, and then asks how about she can make friends with her classmates. Rosa says that she did not understand him and then announces that she is leaving. Moses offers her a cookie and tells her to keep it for herself. The girl explains that this is not true at all, since she did not bring it on purpose after all. She simply did not have time to eat them on the way. Moses thanks the girl, but she replies that she does not need gratitude. The fair-haired guy threw away the cookies because he hates drinking tea and eating cookies, and she didn't know about it because of her narrow-mindedness. At this time, the main character climbed into the bushes and thinks that she definitely needs to get to this point. And then he remembers that during the lesson he only looked at her, and she thinks that maybe he was angry because she ran away in the morning. However, she understands that she did this only out of awkwardness. Truth says that she misses Rayona, and suddenly she heard his voice which says that if she is bored, then she should not run away. The surprised girl asks the guy what he is doing. Rayan reminds her that he already said that she would not be able to escape, and then she claims that she has a strange face. The main character objects and says that not at all. The guy reports that yesterday she behaved confidently, but now she is shy, and he does not understand why he is asking about it. Hearing this, the girl does not understand what he is talking about, and then claims that this did not happen. Rayan asks if she has the power to do something bigger than yesterday. At this time, the main character thought that he was a devil who stood and laughed. Istina says that she asked to be left alone for a little while, and then asks him to give her some time. Ron says that even without further words, he understands what she is getting at. The lady doesn't understand why he just listens then, and then asks why he came even closer to her. The guy says he has one more thing to do, and then kisses her and tells her not to run away from him. After all, if she continues to run away, then perhaps he will do something bigger than yesterday. Hearing this, the main character thought that she was not far from a heart attack. A week passed unnoticed, and she and Rayan were convinced of their feelings for each other, and they officially became a couple, and they now hold hands when they walk together, and during meals they feed each other. Truth reflects on the fact that there is an event at the academy today, and she needs to get ready quickly. The couple arrived on time, and they saw the director of this academy. The young guy reveals that he is the director of the academy, and his name is Viand. And then he says that he sincerely believes in their development, and today he called them for this. The director says that he hopes everyone present here is listening to him carefully. At this time, the main character thought that he was somehow unfriendly in his explanation. And then she saw what he did that made everything shake. Truth saw that he teleported them, and then she saw Moses, who greeted them and said that they had entrusted him with conducting today's event, and so he wants to start explaining today's event. The blonde guy reports that today's event is one of the traditional hunting competitions at the academy, and the place where the students will go now is a forest of monsters. Hearing this, Truth thought that although she had forgotten it, she was slowly remembering this moment from the book. And depending on the location of the monster forest, the difficulty level of the monsters living there changes. The main character thought that today's event was a hunt for monsters living in the forest aimed at developing abilities and students. And since this is an event for students, there shouldn't be any dangerous monsters there. Moses reveals that they are allowed to hunt monsters freely, but only in pairs, and until sunset. This is not dangerous territory, but the area is limited by dangerous signs. The blonde guy suggests remembering this and not going there. And then he begins to announce the list of partners. At this time, Truth became interested in who her partner was. Rayan turns to the girl and tells her to promise him that she will not go where it is dangerous. At this time, the main character thought that according to the book, if you do not behave negligently, then there will not be a monster there that can harm her. However, no one entered the dangerous territory. Truth replies that she would never go where it is dangerous. However, Rayan says that she is the kind of person who can run anywhere. Hearing this, the girl thought that he was a skeptic. The main character heard her name being called, and then informed Rayan that she was already leaving. She also assures him that she will never go into a dangerous place and tells him not to worry about it. The girl says that she is not going there, but if she suddenly turns up, she will immediately run back. When Truth saw that Toreros was her partner, she was very happy. and then screaming he turns to her so that she calls her by name. And when she called her name, the truth asked her to take care of her today. When they went into the forest, they saw a big insect, and they don't understand how it happened. Tararosa reports that she is not eager but understands that they will have to act together. And then she says that she uses magic and tells the truth, so that she will not let the monsters get closer to her. Having heard this, the main character says that she understood, and at that time thought that she could not believe it, and that she would protect her favorite character. And he understands that there will be no such chance again. The main character struggles with the monsters, but realizes that there are a lot of them and there is no end to them, and then asks the lady how much longer. Tararosa. With the help of Mogul, she dealt with this stranger and then says that it paid for the fact that she rushed at her. At this time, the truth thought that her favorite character was very cool. Suddenly, they saw a small animal and thought that this hare might be Rudafi, which is a very rare animal. Tararosa says that if they catch him, then victory will definitely be theirs. However, the hare ran away, and they decided to quickly run after it. At this time, Rowan noticed that it was already starting to rain, and Moses says that he is cruel and explains that he just wanted to meet him. Rayan asks in surprise what Moses is up to. He replies that it wasn't on his mind, and then asks if the fact that the partners are not just an accident. Rayan reports that trouble has happened because the sign to the dangerous territory has disappeared somewhere, and a couple of students were walking near it. At this time, the girls entered the depths of the forest. Truth asks the lady if she thinks it's more dangerous here than it was there. The girl with blue hair says that there was no sign, and understands that everything looks strange. Tararosa saw that Truth was hurt and asked if she was okay. The girl replies that she is fine. The lady with blue hair asks the Truth for forgiveness, because of his frivolity they went far. Truth tells the girl not to worry so much. After all, this is not only her mistake since she also participated in this. Suddenly, the girls heard a voice saying that they were stupid and asking if they thought they could come back. Tararosa says she thought she had misheard, but the voice says they're staring like bitches. The Truth says that animals cannot talk. At this time, the rabbit they were running after gives orders to finish them off. The main character quickly realized, and when she saw the danger, she protected Tararosu. She herself was wounded. The lady with blue hair turns to the girl and asks if she's okay. Truth looks at her and says that it's good that she's okay, and then asks her to run away quickly. Tararosa says that she cannot escape, and then says that he will protect her. However, she understands that such magic will not harm such a strong monster, but she cannot simply leave the Truth. Rabbit says it's no use, and then he says that this person will also die. Suddenly, Moses came up to him and grabbed the rabbit by the ears, and he asked the little man to let him go. Surprised, Tararosa asks how Moses ended up there. He explains that the danger sign has disappeared, so he went on patrol. At this time, Rayan approached the Truth and then took her in his arms and reminds her that she said that she would not go into dangerous territory and promised it. The main character looked at him and then apologized for the fact that she had to be careful. And after these words, she lost consciousness. Truth woke up in her room and doesn't understand how she got there, and then crying out the name of Toreros. Rayan tells the girl not to get up but to lie still. The lady asks what's wrong with Tararosa and wonders if she's okay. The surprised guy asks if this is more important than her own health, and then he reports that she is in another room and there are no serious wounds, and everything will be fine with her. Having heard this girl says that she seems to have lost a lot of money, and then she hugs Rayan and apologizes because she thought that they would not see each other again. Suddenly, they heard a voice saying that only stupid people could do this in broad daylight. Moses holds the rabbit in his hands and says that he is very caring, and then asks the lady how she feels. The rabbit says that she is surrounded only by idiots, and she is probably tired of this already. Truth tells the rabbit that he is the most annoying and asks if he knew that. The rabbit says that the one sitting next to her and the one holding him now are only thinking about how to fuck her harder. Moses, using magic, made a fireball, and the rabbit, seeing this, asks not to be finished off. The blonde guy asks Ron if he would mind putting the little guy in his place. He replies that he will be happy to help him. Seeing this, the Truth orders them both to leave him, and then asks if they will kill Rudafi. Moses tells the lady that the animal was going to finish her off. She replies that she understands what he is talking about, and then reports that she is not dead. And at that time, she thought that she wanted to leave Rudafi alive, not because she is so kind, but because her intuition simply tells her this, and therefore she thinks that she should not kill him. The truth says that she will take the rabbit to her and raise him. Hearing this, the rabbit screams and asks if she is mocking her. The main character claims that if he does not do as she said, he will simply be killed right away. Suddenly, a girl with blue hair comes into the room and says that she didn't come because she wanted to check how the lady is true, and it seems to her that everything is good and that's why she will go. Heard this was true, she said, screaming that she suddenly felt pain. Terrarosa approaches the girl and asks if she is okay. The girl says that she bought it and then smiles. The surprised lady reports that she deceived her. Truth asks Terrarosu not to leave and then hugs her. The girl screams for her to let her go. The next day, when Truth came to class, she thought about what she wanted. I taught this lesson together with Rayan, but when I arrived, I saw his stern look. And that's why she wanted to leave quickly. The teacher says that he has something important to do and then asks who to entrust it to. Hearing this, the Truth raises her hand and says that she will do everything since she thinks that no one will carry out the assignment better than her. Truth took the papers that she was supposed to take, but when she entered the room she saw Moses, and she does not understand why he is crying again. But when he noticed her, she thought that she could no longer just turn away. Moses says that usually they only ever cross paths under such circumstances. However, the girl asks why he was crying. The guy explains that it's nothing like that. And at that time, the girl thought that he was lying to her. Truth reflects on the fact that the second son in the third generation of the imperial family is Cassius. And according to tradition, the eldest son should inherit the family. But due to the outstanding abilities of Moses, these traditions are allowed to be ignored. Therefore, his elder brother was very jealous of him, and his childhood was no better than that of Rowan. The girl understands that there's nothing strange in the fact that something in him is broken, because his character has changed a lot because of this. But he doesn't understand binding a person with magic. This is too much since she can't move. Truth asks Moses to take it away. However, the guy does not understand what she is talking about and asks about it. The main character reports that he used magic and tied her up. Moses asks if he is like the one who uses magic like this. The girl wonders why then she can't move. He explains that this may be due to the sudden meeting with him as her heart was forgotten. Faster, hearing this, the girl thought that he was annoying her. Truth does not want him to approach her because she understands that her heart is pounding, and this is a consequence of Moses's unexpected actions and his handsome appearance. And then he remembers that she promised not to pay attention to it. Moses comes closer to the girl and tells her that he likes her. The lady replies that she said she liked Rayan, and she thinks he might meet someone he likes more than her. And at that time, I thought that he would find a person who could reciprocate his feelings. The blonde guy grabs the girl by the hand and says that he cannot predict her actions, and that's why he likes her even more and he can't even help himself. Istina tells the guy to stop being childish. Moses apologizes and then reveals that he continues to make fun of the person he likes. Hearing this, the girl thought that she had no words. The guy says that the shackles have already fallen off, but she is still here. The lady replies that she would have left anyway without his words. And at that time, I thought that even the sight of him infuriates her. Truth comes to Rayan and then asks if she is late and then suggests that she go to practice faster. The guy says that she could take her time and then says that everything is fine since he's just used to waiting for her. Hearing this, the girl was happy and then hugs him and says that she will not forget his words. Truth realizes that the lesson is already over, but is surprised because there are many people left to train. The main character saw Ashley and then greeted him and said that he trains really hard, and that's why he thinks it's cool. He replies that a fencing student should train hard, and then reports that he heard the lady was hurt by a monster in the forest, but looks better than he thought. Truth explains that she has recovered and therefore tells him not to worry. At this time, Rayan approaches the girl and asks how much longer she plans to chat with him and then takes her away. The girl wishes Ashley a successful workout, and at that time, I thought that if you leave it like this, then it will be a little frightening. Truth asks Rayan if he can go somewhere with her this weekend. She wants no one to disturb them and they want to be alone. The guy replies that this is not bad. Hearing this girl was happy and asked if this was consent. The rabbit asks where the girl is going and wonders if she leaves him alone. She replies that she is going on Cheese Ono's date and then asks if he feels lonely being alone. The rabbit replies that by no means, and then she says that she will probably kiss with that guy anyway, and when he treats her well, she will come back. Truth asks in surprise why he is saying such rude things again. And then he says that if he is so sad, then he can also go and unwind. The rabbit says that it's good for her to scratch with her tongue, and then asks why she pretends not to know. Hearing this, the girl is surprised and asks what he is talking about. Animal explains that she took him and that stupid blonde man put a curse of bonds on his heart. And then he looked at the girl and said that judging by the expression on her face, it seemed to him that she was really hearing about this for the first time. Rabbit explains that he put a spell on him to shackle him so that his heart would stop. And leaving the academy without permission is the same as if he killed a person in the academy. The truth says that the result is the same, and in any case, death awaits him. And then asks if there is a way to get rid of the curse. Rabbit says that he planned to kill her, and she worries about his curse, and this surprises him since he thinks the lady is a weirdo. The lady reports that she has often heard this. Animal says that she is really strange, and he can easily understand what a person is thinking about. Her thoughts are not at all clear to him, and then asks if she happens to be from another dimension. The rabbit says that this cannot be, since if she had been sent from another dimension, she would have already been caught. However, he claims that she is strange and that she is using him for research. Truth Screaming says that she is late and then quickly leaves the room and closes the door. The main character, when she saw Rayan, does not understand what she should do since he is so charming today. The guy claims that she has been so lively since the morning and then takes her hand. The girl reports that she has been waiting for today's walk for a long time, and then he says that he always looks good, but today he is especially sweet and handsome. Rayan says that he thinks she is much more beautiful and nicer than him. Hearing this, the girl thought that maybe she had heard it, and maybe it was a dream. The guy asks if the lady wants to do something special today. She replies that she wants to walk around the village together and look at the flowers and also go to the lake and have a picnic there and then go to a cafe. Suddenly Ron covers her mouth with his hand and asks if it's possible not to do this all four. And then he explains that now they will have a lot of time, and they don't have to complete all the tasks for today because they can go without rushing through the list. Rayan proposes today to do what the lady wanted most. Hearing this girl thought that he meant that now they would be together forever. And then she says that today she wants to go to the village. At the end of the day, Truth says that today was fun and asks about it. The guy replies that he had fun too and then gives her the box and asks her to try it on. When the lady saw the box, she was surprised and asked if she could open it now. There was a necklace in the box that the girl liked and she asks when he bought it. Ron says he will help her wear it. The girl thanks him and says that she likes it and will take care of it. The boy says that he suits her and he will become the person who will suit her and he will become stronger, taller, and better. Truth says that it's very good now and asks if she's right. The guy explains that when he becomes a more worthy man than he is now, then he will be with her, officially. Also, he does not ask to wait for him, but he also does not want anyone else to be next to her. He says that if this happens, he will not give up and will fight for her. Truth says that she is very happy and will wait and look forward to the day when she becomes his bride and then hugs him. Ron tells the girl that he likes her. The lady reports that she also likes him very, very much more than anyone else in the world. At this time, Moses remembers that the place where every year competitions were calmly held on the signpost, special magic was cast, and you can't just touch it. However, he does not understand why, then they cannot find him with the help of his magic. He does not understand whose evil intent this is and who is hiding behind it. Truth thought that today was like a dream. The rabbit asks her if she had fun. The girl replies that she had a really good time today, and then asks if he knows how nice Rayan was today. Animal turns to the lady and says that he wanted to ask something, and he wonders that day in the forest of monsters why she followed him. Truth asks in surprise if he didn't lure her. Hearing this, the rabbit smiled and then said that he would speak out as soon as he put his thoughts in order. At this time, the main character does not understand what is wrong with him, and therefore she has a bad feeling. Tararosu behind him, the girl asks if she has come to meet her. The lady with blue hair replies that not at all. Truth says that Tararosa is so cute and then screams and says that she wants to hug her. Suddenly, Rayan stops her and tells her to stop rushing at people like a puppy. The girl explains that she wanted to hug her because this is Tararos and he doesn't understand anything. Ron explains that that's why he says that he doesn't like it when she bothers someone other than him. Hearing this, the girl asks if he is jealous of her now and then hugs him. The guy explains that since they are dating and then asks if it's not natural. Moses turns to Sir Rayan and says that he has become so brave. Hearing this, he asks for what reason he was seeking the truth. The blonde guy explains that he doesn't have to worry, because he just wanted to say something about a past case. Rayan turns to the main character and tells her to go first to the training room. Moses is the same, says Lady Tara Rose. Truth turns to the girl with blue hair and says that she has long wanted to make friends with her. Tara Rosa says that it's not really important now, and then says that when she got hurt because of her, she was very worried, and then she claims that she is very sorry. Hearing this, the main character claims that everything is fine and it's nothing. Tara Rosa says that she also wanted to become her friend. At this time, the girl thought that she was so sweet, but she realized that if she rushed to hug her, the lady would simply run away. Tara Rosa lady, and says that in 2 weeks there will be a star festival, and then asks if she would like to go there with her. Truth says that of course she will go, and no matter what happens, she will definitely be there. The main character reports that she understands, and then asks Tararosu what wish she would make on a falling star. The lady replies that it is a secret. Tararosa looked in surprise at the training hall of the Faculty of Swordsmen. Truth asks if this is her first time there, and then says that she will show her everything and therefore offers to follow her. The girl with blue hair tells her to go slower since she can't keep up with her. Truth saw Ashley and then called his name. The guy tells the lady not to pretend that they are very close friends, but when I saw Tararosu, I was surprised. The lady with blue hair asks who this guy is. Truth explains that it is her friend Ashley. Hearing this, the guy says that she is right. Tararosa approaches Ashley and asks him if he wants to go to the Star Festival together. The guy happily replies that he will go. And then he looked at the smiling Truth and asked why she was laughing. A girl with blue hair turns to the guys and says that they are probably very close. And then it is reported that she has another lesson now, and therefore she must leave. Ashley, screaming, says that he made a complete fool of himself in front of Lady Tararosa. Istina tells him to calm down, and then tells him that he can still fix everything at the Star Festival. The main character reflects on the fact that she does not yet know what wish to make. Istina reports that the festival is making it much noisier than usual, and then she asks Rayan if he has decided on his desire. The guy replies that he doesn't believe in that. However, the girl invites him not to be Bayaka, and then says that she wants to make a wish together. The main character says that if suddenly the star does not fulfill his wish, then she will not fulfill it. Rayan asks what will happen if he makes an impossible wish. The lady replies that she will try to death to fulfill it, and he understands that even if it takes his whole life, and even if he dies and becomes a ghost. The guy agrees with the girl because he really can't defeat her. At this time, the girl saw that he laughed. Rabbit Rudafi asks if they are having fun. At this time, the Truth does not understand when he appeared. Ron takes the rabbit by the ears and says that apparently he really wants to be boiled alive. The main character tells the guy to calm down and then explains that he is always like this. Tararosa turns to Lady Truth and says that she came first. At this time, the main character thought that she was able to see Rayan and Tararosu in a non-school uniform and therefore could not believe it because she felt happy. But suddenly the Truth became interested in who was behind the lady. The girl with blue hair explains that she met Ashley along the way. Seeing his rabbit, he says that he tried to look very ordinary. Tararosa says that since they are all together, then he invites them to go, since he will show them a good place. After all, the starfall will begin soon. The lady with blue hair says that apparently the stars are still getting ready, and Truth says that she is very happy. So wait for the stars. Tararosa says that she also hopes that everyone's wishes will come true. A few minutes later, the starfall began, and at this time, the main character remembered that she needed to make a wish for the one when all the stars would fall, and her wish was that Rayan's wish would come true. Suddenly, the girl looked at Rayan and did not understand what he wished for because he was so sad. And then he cries out for the stars to make their wish come true. Having heard this guy, he says that even without this, his wish will come true. At this time, a conversation is heard on the street that people are saying that a new prediction has appeared. And this time, Liliana will become the wife of the crowned Prince Edwin. And then the goddess Liliana will save the empire from destruction, and she will be accompanied by 3 important men who will follow her and swear an oath to be faithful to her. The main character heard this and doesn't understand how this happened. Rayan looked at the surprised girl and asked how she was feeling. The lady replies that everything is fine and then asks if they can go since they have already made a wish. The rabbit turns to the lady and says that it seems to him that the oracle knows how to influence others. Truth asks how he knew about this. Rukden replies that she has been like this ever since she heard that the oracle had come. And then he explains that it would be strange if he didn't understand. Because this Rukden is famous for backstabbing, and he considers himself even that bastard. Truth announces that she must go and then gets out of bed and says that the predictions have already been made and she does not understand whether she can change anything. The rabbit has magic on it, and if she eats it, she will become invisible. Because of the prediction, Reuben's palace will be forgotten by people, and with this, she will get into the palace without any problems. And he also says that she will be unlucky if she gets caught. The little animal explains that even if she uses this seed, it will be difficult. And he thinks that her fucker won't appreciate it, and then asks if she has anyone to ask for help. Truth says she has someone in mind and is sure he will help her. I saw the guy. The girl thought that she asked him to appear quietly, and she hopes that Rayan will not guess anything. And she doesn't understand how she can deal with this. Lord Riard greets Sir Rayan and asks how he has been all this time, and then he apologizes because he and the true lady need to return. Rayan says he will go with them. The guy explains that by order of the Duke he cannot accompany them, and then they ask you to understand him. At this time, the main character thought about what he had cleverly come up with, and at first she didn't even understand anything. Truth, getting into the carriage, said goodbye to Rayan, and then she told the guy that as he ordered, she sent the guards and the carriage back. The main character told the man that she was the daughter of a duke and could enter someone else's palace. However, he suggests that she do better. That's officially the order of the day. The girl asks how long these formalities will take. He answers that about 2 weeks. Hearing this, the Truth thought that this would not work and then invites the man to believe her at least once. Lord Reard says he doesn't even want to hear about the possibility of becoming invisible. The girl shows him the seeds and says that this is true, and if you plant them, he will disappear. However, the man claims that this is still not acceptable, since he cannot give the princess something that has not been tested. The man ate 1 seed, and the Truth suddenly disappeared. The surprised guy doesn't understand how this is possible. And at this time, the main character thought that judging by his reaction, everything worked out. At this time, the guy thought that even though he couldn't see her face, he still got goosebumps. And then the girl gave him a seed and he ate it and also became invisible. And then they entered the palace territory. Truth thought that everything inside was very huge. And she doesn't understand how she can figure out where exactly Rukden is, because she underestimated his palace. And then the lady remembers the rabbit's words that after she eats the seed, she will be invisible for 2 days. But if it collides with a person or some object from a strong blow or shock, the effect will disappear. Truth informs the Lord that they have no time to hesitate, and from now on, everyone acts on their own. And so she thinks to split up and search separately, and it's better to meet here in an hour. Reared, I am sure that acting separately is very dangerous. The girl explains that the main thing for him is not to run into anyone, and therefore suggests that he be careful. Walking along the corridor, the main character saw that there were a lot of people in the central part, and therefore she understands that it will be difficult for her to go there secretly, and she won't even have anywhere to hide. However, he understands that simply standing in the corridor is dangerous. Truth saw the door and thought that she could rest there for a while. But when I opened the door, I smelled the smell of medicinal herbs. Suddenly, the girl saw a man and almost screamed out loud. She doesn't understand why he's crying in this room, and it seemed to her that she was the same age as him, and in his hands I saw a puppy and thought that he was definitely Crown Prince Edwin. The main character understands that while Edwin is in the role of the second prince, and the moment when the first prince mocked and beat Edwin, and the puppy in his hands was his only friend. The girl understands that he was beaten by the first prince and his life is now in danger. And so Edwin secretly made his way to the place with healing injuries. And he tried to keep the puppy alive, but in the end he died. At this time, the Truth thought that she just needed to pretend that she didn't know anything, because she understood that she couldn't help him now. The main character heard that the boy was asking Rukin the puppy to survive. And at that time I thought that she was able to help him survive, and finding Rukbin was a priority. The girl remembers that she didn't like Edwin the most in the books, and then she screams and turns to the guy who is crying and says that she is a princess of spirits. And then she looked at the boy and thought that he had some kind of cold reaction. After all, she understands that she is not a princess of spirits, but she went too far and didn't even think about it. Truth says that if he doesn't really care about her background, she will resurrect this puppy and then asks if that suits him. The guy asks if this is true. The main character thought that it seems that he is not an enemy, and his character is quite gentle. Although if you think about it in the original, this kid was also a cutie. The girl says that she is the spirit princess, and then claims that she is not lying. And then she explains that, in any case, she cannot say why she is near him, and therefore she will simply resurrect the puppy. Truth thought about this little guy who watches the instruments move on their own, and is not surprised at all and just waits. The girl reports that it will be better if we give him the medicine periodically, and this amount should be enough, because he remembers that Edwin's puppy died of tetanus, and if he anoints the wounds with this medicine, he will be saved. The boy saw that his puppy was alive and thanked the girl. She replies that there is nothing to thank her for, and then says that she is already leaving and asks if he happens to know where the temple is. At this time, the main character thought that she was in a hurry and told him that she was a princess of spirits and realized that there was a mistake. And when I looked at his face, I thought he was kind of sad, and he asks if he is going to the temple and will meet Rukden. The boy replies that she won't be able to meet him because he fell asleep. The main character remembered that after the prophecy, Rukden fell into a deep sleep, and he predicted that he would fall asleep. Erdogan asks the lady if she is not really the princess of the spirits, and then he says that Rukden told him about this, because after the oracle's prediction, a girl in a blue cloak will come to him, and he asked him to tell her if he meets her to apologize because he wanted to keep his promise, but for her, it was the best option. Having heard this, the Truth does not understand what it all means, and she doesn't even imagine that if she can't meet with Rukden, then she has no reason to stay here. And so she decided to return to Rayan. Truth says she has to go, so she's already leaving. The boy screams for her to wait a second, and then asks if she is because he wants to know who she is. The girl apologizes and then says that it is a secret, and reminds him that he promised that he would not be interested, and suggests that he think of it as a debt, since he is now in her debt. The news that Rukden woke up or that the prediction changed did not happen, and so her 14th year of life ended and she and Rayan turned 15. In the spring there were rumors that His Highness the Crown Prince had entered, and so people gathered to look at His Highness. The main character overheard a conversation that the first prince died, and it was because he was poisoned. Truth saw a respectable guy, and then remembered that when she first saw him in an abandoned fortress, he was still a toddler and chewing snot. And that's why he didn't recognize her, because he grew up during this time. Rayan asks the girl how long she is going to look around. Hearing this girl remembered that she was going to the library with him and then said that this was not so at all. The guy says that if she suddenly has something to do, then she can go. Truth explains that she has nothing to do and then suggests they go faster. When they arrived at the library, Rayan suddenly grabs the girl's hands and then asks why her heart belongs to another guy and not him. Hearing this, the main character was surprised because she thinks that this is not so, and not only Edwin grew up, but also Rayan, whom she always fed. The main character understands that no matter where she is recently, an abnormal number of monsters have appeared in the Empire. Since the time of fierce anger, the best professionals of the Rayan Academy Moses began periodically exterminating monsters. Because of this, they quickly became popular. Truth realizes that he looks as usual only on the outside. At this time, Rayan says that she excites him. Hearing this girl thought that now was the best time for someone to come to their library. And then she screams and tells him to wait, because someone is coming towards them. The guy reports that he put up a barrier, Hearing this, the girl thought that she had not noticed him and that he was a praised boy, and she doesn't understand when the guy suddenly learned this magic. Truth tells Rayan that magic cannot be used for such a thing. He replies that he doesn't hear and then kisses her on the lips and says that he would rather become an adult and officially accept her as his wife. At this time, the girl does not understand why she is so happy now and thought that if this was a dream, then she didn't want to wake up. And she thinks it's very good that she was reborn in this world. Tararosa turns to Lady Truth and asks what is troubling her. The girl explains that she was thinking a little. Ron were hunting monsters this week. Truth replies that it is, and she heard the conversation. Tararosa asks what about Togo? Like that time to gather on the shore of the lake and have a simple tea party and have fun. The girl replies that it will be very fun to prepare tea from the highest grade. In the original, no one cooperated to destroy the monsters during this period, because the two of them had no common ground, and Ashley was generally a minor character. At this time, the main character thought that everything was wrong now, and this week she should also support the hunt. And then she tells Rayan to be careful and not get hurt, because his body does not belong only to him. Hearing this, the guy is surprised and asks who else, and then says that if she doesn't answer, he will set up a barrier. Truth tells him to wait a second and then tells him that she will tell him and says that his body is hers too. The main character looked at Ron and thought that he had a very dissatisfied face, and he was literally the second Rudolphi. The girl takes the guy by the hand and then asks him to be sure to return safe from the hunt. He hugs the girl and says that he understands everything. When the Truth was sleeping in her bed in the evening, a rabbit suddenly jumped up on her chest and asked if she was worried and if she was very worried. The girl answers no. Rudolphi says really what to worry about? After all, if these three idiots went together, they would even kill Satan. And therefore, she has no reason to worry, and then asks why she was so nervous. Rabbit asks if she happens to be worried about the prediction, and then he says that he will tell her in confidence that the appearance of the goddess Liliana will be a new prediction, and it will be about Rayan. And even if it is taken away from her, she will be able to find and return it again. Meanwhile, in the Forest of Monsters, Moses says that the monsters have gone wild lately. The guy with red hair asks that the prediction had nothing to do with the destruction of the empire. Moses replies that he does not know for sure, but nothing related was directly said. And then he asks Rayan by chance has he felt bad lately, and he says that maybe he also had this dream. Like a girl from another world stretches out her hand. Rayan tells Moses that his dreams are completely different now. 2 weeks later, the guy realizes that there are a lot of people on the shore today, and he thought that it was probably because the sky was a strange color and he had never seen such a sky before, and Edwin must be around here somewhere. Truth reflects on the fact that in the original, Liliana met Edwin first, and then she remembered the rabbit's words and thought that no one would take away her Rayan, and he is her, and she should not be afraid. Suddenly, the main character saw that she had finally appeared the goddess who had received the protection of water and who would stop the fall of the Liliana Empire. In the original, Liliana appeared in front of Edwin, and she swore for the first time to Edwin too, and the main character does not understand why she is so worried. And then she noticed that Liliana was looking at her and didn't understand why she wasn't going to Edwin. Liliana asks the girl if they have met her, and then says that she missed you and said the name of Rayan. Hearing this, the main character thought that Liliana knew the past of all the characters, and she moved into this world knowing everything about it. And besides, she said that she herself had learned to move between worlds. Therefore, after the move, Liliana was not at all at a loss, and having penetrated the subtle and gentle souls of the characters, she easily gathered into her grief. And with a rather peculiar character, she was neither good nor evil. Truth remembered that she said something about dreams and understands that this was not the case in the original. And I thought that there was a discrepancy again, because only the two of them had a dream, and she doesn't like it. During this time, Rayan takes Truth by the hand and then turns to Lady Liliana and tells her not to come near him anymore as he doesn't want to get involved with her. The lady heard this and says that it is heartless because everything was wrong in the dream. The guy claims that he doesn't remember dreaming about anything related to her. At this time, the main character thought that Ron was right, and she did not understand why she was so excited because the guy was holding her hand. Tararosa says that she does not know whether she is Liliana or anyone else, and then asks her to kindly disappear because she interrupted their tea party. At this time, the knights approach them and say that they are pleased to meet Liliana, and then explain that they are people who were chosen by the Academy's management to accompany her, and so they want to take her to her room first. Liliana turns to the guys and says that they will meet again. Liliana con Laura Ramona. Soon I received a name and status. This status was recognized by the crown prince himself and the noble families of the state. Once she adapted, she was allowed to enter the Faculty of Magic. Liliana approaches the main character before class and then apologizes for last time and explains that she did not know that she had such a relationship with Rayan. Truth says that everything is fine and she has already forgotten about it, and at that time I thought that she really wasn't worried about it. Liliana asks the girl if she is comfortable talking. Truth says she is comfortable, and therefore Liliana suggests speaking informally, and then asks if she happens to have a minute of free time, because there is something she wants to talk to her about in private. A few minutes later, the girls walked into the winter garden, and then Liliana asks the main character who she is and wants her to answer her honestly. Liliana argues that a romantic relationship is impossible between Truth and Rayan, and Rayan is not crazy, but this is not the truth, and then asks how it ended up in her body. Heard this, the main character does not understand what she should answer, and therefore remains silent. Liliana says that she made a mistake again and then apologizes again, since she started in such a tone. Because of this intonation, she was an outcast, and explains that she did not do it on purpose but for real. The girl with brown hair says that she really hates the truth, and then explains that this is not her real truth, because she thought that when she was here the truth would not leave her alone. However, judging by her words, it is not the truth that she knows. Hearing this, the main character thought that something was wrong. She wondered if Liliana had any kind of character in the original, and in her memory her image was unhappy, and reflects on the fact that maybe she too is a migrant. Truth turns to the lady and asks how she got here. She replies that she drowned in a summer camp, and then I closed my mouth and thereby gave myself away. Hearing this, the main character thought about what she had done since Liliana fell for her question. After all, she knows that in the original Lily she did not drown. Truth says that if she is wondering who she is, she must reveal her identity first. The girl with brown hair smiles and says that she is actually a migrant because she understands that she was burned anyway and she can tell everything. The lady reveals that she was in the 3rd year of high school but drowned while at summer camp. However, for a second she saw a glowing book and she was drawn into it. It turned out that she had moved into the body of the main character of her favorite novel. Truth says that she is also a migrant. Liliana says that she guessed, but as it turned out she is really a migrant. And then he tells her so that she doesn't misunderstand. She doesn't like Rayan, and she said that to save him from the truth. Liliana asks if her favorite character Rayan is true. The girl asks who her favorite character is. Liliana replies that Edwin. The main character asks the lady what kind of dream she was talking about. The girl replies that she does not know the exact reason, but recently she began to meet the main characters in her dreams. And then she says that she wants them to become friends with the Truth in the future. At this time, Truth thought that perhaps she was too afraid of Liliana, and that is why she was so sorry. Tararosa turns to Ashley and asks if he ate all the delicious things again. She wonders how he felt if he ate everything but her. The guy asks the lady to be lenient at least once, and then he says that he really can't eat carrots. At this time, the main character thought that today everything went calmly as she thought, and the two seem to have gotten closer lately. In the original, falling in love with Moses made it very difficult for Toreros, and she thought that it would be good if things worked out for her and Ashley. Rayan comes to the truth and says that he ate only vegetables all the time. She looked at the guy and thought that there was a sparkle in his eyes, and it seemed that it meant that he wanted her to feed him meat. Truth takes a fork and feeds the guy meat, and at that time I thought that when she does this with a calm face, a playful expression appears on it. Liliana addresses the Truth and reports that it is already here. The girl asks the lady if she came to Douse too. Liliana replies that she wanted to have lunch with Edwin, but he seems busy today, says that since she is an outcast, she was going to eat alone, and he asks that if they don't mind, they can eat together and wishes everyone bon appetit. Terrarosa asks the lady in surprise if she doesn't understand the atmosphere, and then asks if she can leave. And he reports that because of her, the meal is ruined. Seeing this, the main character thought that Terrarosa was too angry with Liliana, and this is not this Terraros she knows. Ashley turns to the lady and says that she is too harsh. Hearing this, she asks if he is protecting the commoner. At this time, the truth does not understand why Terraros suddenly began to behave this way. The lady with blue hair says that she doesn't like this place, so she leaves. Hearing this, Ashley ran after her. At this time, Terrarosa thought that her mood had deteriorated because of this commoner. Suddenly, Ashley grabs the girl's hand and tells her to wait. However, the girl tells him to let her go. The guy explains that a little earlier he said too much, so he asks for forgiveness, since a lady usually doesn't behave like that. The blue-haired girl asks if that's all he can tell her, and then she says that if so, then she leaves, because the logic of common people may be closer to him, and so she hopes that in the future he will not pretend that they know each other. At this time, Terrarosa does not understand why her mood has deteriorated so much. Truth reports that she has returned. The rabbit asks the girl why she is so late. Hearing this, the lady asks in surprise whether she usually comes at this time. Rudolphi asks the lady how her day was. The girl wonders why he suddenly asked. The rabbit says that he is talking about this new girl, and he wonders if she was there and how it all went. Truth replies that they became friends. Hearing this, the rabbit says that rivals and friends at the same time at least cry from such a scenario. The lady explains that they are not rivals. And at that time, I thought about what Liliana said, that she liked Edwin, and therefore they are neither enemies nor rivals with her. However, she understands that now this does not matter, since what worries her most now is Terraros. After all, she is not one of those people who would hate a stranger without reason. The main character does not understand why the lady with blue hair disliked Liliana so much, and then he asks the rabbit if he knows why people hate others. Rudolphi says there are probably different reasons and situations for this. Truth thought that Liliana moved to this world just a week ago, and she does not understand whether there were conflicts between Terrarosa and Liliana during this time. And usually the voice of Terraros does not sound so angry. The main character reflects on the fact that even if they came face to face, Liliana could not do something to such an extent that she could anger Terrarosu. And then the rabbit says that even if she didn't, there probably must be a reason. Truth thought that there must be a reason for such hatred, and so she felt like she was leaving out something important, and so she had a sleepless night. The girl thought that lately she had hardly seen Terrarosu, and she was not in the dining room, and even at dawn they could not see each other. And she tried to contact her through a magic ball, but it didn't work because they have different faculties. They also chose different additional lectures, and there was no opportunity to meet. The main character thought that she and Terrarosa were close, and then she remembered the day when Ashley caught up with her and thought that something had happened between them, and she wanted to ask, but she couldn't do it. Because during training, I saw Ashley's worried face instead of the usual focused one. Moses also only said hello and immediately disappeared, and it seemed that everyone was very busy. And from that very day, Rudolphi never appeared in the room. Only Liliana occasionally dropped in to talk to her, and she talked almost only about Edwin. Truth thought that lately Terrarosa had been trying to get closer to her, and she was doing it so hard that the girl even wanted to make friends with her. However, above all, there is something that worries her much more, and it looks like Terrarosa is pretending that they don't know each other. 3 days later, early in the morning in the main hall, the main character saw students of the Faculty of Spirits. And then I remembered that last time, only the faculties of fencing and magic participated, and in the original, they were also shrouded in mystery. Truth saw a very bright light, and remembered that this is how the director appears. And last time he looked like a child, but this time he looked more mature. And after that, she understood why he said that it was difficult to judge his race. The director says that he must get straight to the point, and then informs him that the anniversary of Charmaine Academy is approaching in 2 months, and so he wants them to listen to him. Hearing this, the main character thought that everything was confusing and it would be better if he didn't explain. The director says that this time Moses will introduce them to the details. The blonde guy says that this year they were honored with the presence of the spirit faculty. And at this time, the main character thought that Moses had been very busy lately, and that's why he was like that. However, she doesn't understand why his smile is so creepy. The guy says that the anniversary festival will last 3 days. But unfortunately, nothing is planned for the last day except nightly battles. And so they decided to consider proposals from each faculty. Hearing this, the Truth thought that it was very different from the previous year, because she read the original and doesn't know what to suggest. And she doesn't know what exactly has changed, but it would be good if everything happened that way. Rayan turns to the lady and tells her not to look like that. Hearing this, the girl doesn't understand why she can't watch and asks about it. Rayan says that under the circumstances, when she looks like that, he gets an ominous feeling. At this time, the girl thought that she grinned unconsciously. There was a big meeting at the academy today, which is why classes started a little late. And in the end, he and Ran were relaxing in the yard on the lawn. Truth understands that allowing yourself this is simply a luxury and knows that, on the other hand, you also need to rest and have a good time too. The girl turns to the guy and says that at such moments he can honestly say what he likes. Rayan says that he likes something special, and the girl is wondering what it is. Truth says that Rayan waited a minute. The surprised boy says that he hasn't done anything yet, and then he touches her face. The lady says there are a lot of people walking here. Hearing this, the guy says that the lady is shy, and then he smiled. The main character looked around and saw a lot of people, and thought that this time she would not lose, and then kissed the guy on the lips. And she reports that this time she won. Ron says she is such a person that it is impossible to predict. Hearing this, the main character thought that he was shy and she couldn't help herself. Suddenly, a huge white dog appeared near the guy, and then the girl saw Liliana and the crown prince together. The prince explains that this is all formal and everything is in order since he came here as an ordinary student, and says that Rayan is not a child, but he does apologize for disturbing them. At this time, the main character thought that this dog which she cured, and therefore she was glad that he survived. At this time, the dog wants to play with the girl, and the prince does not understand why he behaves this way. And the main character thought that it seemed to bother Rayan, and then she says it's okay, and she likes dogs, and it didn't bother them at all. The prince says that he looked too much the first time they met, and then apologizes if it was unpleasant for her. Rohan says that if everything is fine, then he can leave. Hearing this, the main character turns to the guy and claims that he shouldn't talk like that. And at this time, she thought that she did not want her relationship with the crown prince to deteriorate, even if history had changed. The season is peaceful and gentle spring, but instead of serenely admiring the flowers now, the two guys may ruin their relationship in the future. Liliana turns to Edwin and invites them to go. The prince tells the boys that they will meet again, and then takes his dog and they leave. Truth wishes them a safe journey. The girl saw Ron's calming, sweet, and warm smile, and she doesn't understand why this smile makes her feel sad every time. Liliana turns to Edwin and asks him to wait for her. The guy turns to the girl and apologizes, and then explains that he was busy with thoughts and did not know that someone was following him. And again, he apologizes for the fact that he stopped so abruptly because he understands that because of this she fell so sharply. At this time, Liliana thought that he was the most beloved. That evil expression disappeared from his face, and then says she's fine because she bumped into him. The girl asks the prince why he is behaving this way today, and at this time, she does not understand why this dog is still alive, because at first, she thought it was another dog. After all, the puppy that was mentioned in the original was of the same breed, and his name was also Rayan. Liliana, when she became closer to Edwin, quietly asked him how he liked it about Rayan. The prince explained that the Rayan had been his treasured friend since childhood. Hearing this, the girl was speechless, as he had so easily told her about the dog, and at the same time, she had the problem of Rayan, who hates her. Liliana remembers that in the past, Edwin lost his most precious friend Rayan, and then he had to smile, and as the crown prince he was forced to pretend to be cheerful. Edwin always smiled, but deep down he was lonely. And then one day Liliana, who was so similar to him in this way, appeared to him as a rescuer. But there was no doubt that it was she, because she appeared in the guise of Liliana. However, she had a dream that was not mentioned in the original. In the original, there was a dream where Liliana held out her hands to 4 people. In the dream, Moses turned around with a grinning expression on his face without any attitude. And in the original, Moses also had this character, but he was not particularly bothered by it, and he was not interested in anything. Because of this, his business was not progressing, because it was enough for him to attack slowly. The dreams about Rayan were different starting from the very first one, because even in his sleep he didn't want to extend his hand to her, but she didn't mind. Because I thought that I had moved to the original, where they had to become comrades in arms and save the Empire from collapse. Liliana, finding herself in the Empire in comparison with the original, met Rayan too quickly. And he had the strongest sense of connection with Liliana, and so she thought it would be easy to start with. However, her expectations were not met, and therefore there was already someone near the area. The one who could not be with him is a devil giving Rayan only suffering the truth. The truth's behavior different from the original led it to confusion. But she soon found out that she was also a migrant, and the plot went in the wrong direction. But she didn't worry too much because she received the much-desired Edwin. Although Liliana did not know that she was connected as a companion with Edwin by a powerful oracle, and the environment blessed Liliana and Edwin. And so Edwin had to be close to the vine which would stop the destruction of the Empire and become Edwin's companion. And the story ended just like that. However, the girl with brown hair does not understand why she then has the feeling that Edwin is not at all interested in her. And she doesn't understand why, when he smiles at her, it seems like a formality. Liliana always has the feeling that Edwin is looking for something invisible. At this time, the main character thought that she was nervous, and then he knocks on the door and says the name of Tyrant. And at that time, I thought that she had not yet returned to the room, and this girl was her second favorite character. And therefore, of course, she knows the spell that opens the doors of her room. However, the truth understands that opening her door whenever she wants is already madness. And at this time, I thought that I could pretend that it was just a stray wind blowing. Tararosa opened the door and invites the girl to come in. When the truth comes, she doesn't understand what she should tell her, and then asks how she's been doing lately. And at the same time, I thought that she had asked an awkward question. The girl with blue hair apologizes for not showing up lately, and then she says that she doesn't know what to do, and in the end, what to do to make it good. After all, she understands that she has become strange and does not know for what reason. But when she sees Liliana, she can only think about making her disappear from her field of vision. Tararosa understands that words come out all the time that she does not want to say, and she really doesn't know what to do, because just Liliana's face makes her angry, and that's why she gets angry at other non-nobles too. The girl with blue hair says that she even said terrible words to Ashley, and that's why he hates her now. Truth hugs the girl and says that everything is fine and tells her not to worry. And then I explain that Ashley has no reason to hate Lady Tararosu. The main character thought that even calming down her second favorite character, she couldn't stop thinking about it. And she doesn't understand what this endless feeling of awkwardness is. Guys, when they came to the forest, Moses said that this place had changed. And at that time, he thought that he couldn't even believe that a hunting competition was held there last year. After the monsters went crazy in this place, the negative energy increased greatly. However, at some point, the monsters there completely disappeared. Moses reports that he ultimately couldn't find the sign, and even after a more thorough search, he couldn't find even the slightest clue. After all, whoever you ask, no one knows anything. And at that time, he thought that maybe there wasn't a sign there from the very beginning. The blonde guy asks if he still has that dream, and then he says that he does too, and therefore assumes that they have the same symptoms. Rayan agrees with him. Liliana came to that world he no longer had that dream, and instead he had another symptom, and every night his head was pierced by severe pain. And approximately at the moment when the energy left the body, the pain disappeared, and he woke up. At this time, the guy thought that he was glad that this was happening at night, because he understood that otherwise the truth would begin to worry if it found out about it. Moses asks Rayona what he thinks is most suspicious, and then says that it is not in this case, and he suggests that from now on we try to use the armed forces. At this time, the main character thought that the last few days at the academy have been very busy, and then remember that, in the original, the festival opened at the hour of the anniversary in much the same way. And during the festival, Rayan was also responsible for the documents along with her. Truth did not know what to do, and together with Rayan worked on the documents of the house. She thought that she was happy with the guy. Suddenly the girl saw that Rayan and the prince were quarreling, and then she decided to approach them, but she was stopped by a dog who rushed onto her shoulder. Seeing this, Edwin turns to the dog and says that this is impossible, and at this time the main character thought that today he is not with Liliana. Edwin addresses the lady and then apologizes since Rayan disturbed her today too. The girl says that she is fine this time too, and at that time I thought that Rayan seemed to be not well today either. At this time Liliana turns to Edwin, and then she saw the truth and greeted her too. And she says that she is very pleased to meet, however they are now a little busy, and invites the prince to quickly go and takes his hands. A girl with brown hair explains that she and Edwin have an errand and therefore they must leave. Suddenly, the main character does not understand why, since she knew the content perfectly well, but she was still excited. Rayan, having received an order with documents, walked through the courtyard, and at about the same moment boxes fell on Liliana, and accordingly Rayan saved Liliana. And in the original, this was their first meeting. Truth saw that Liliana was touching Rayan and also smiling at him. And at that time, I thought that it would be good if people like her died out. And she doesn't understand why this time she thought about this, because feelings that in no way belong to her, and the pictures of the imagination which she herself cannot cope with since they dominate consciousness. The girl realizes that there is something more important now. And then she comes closer to Ron and takes his hands. Truth invites the guy to sit on the bed and then informs him that he needs to treat the wound. The guy asks her to stop. However, the girl assures him that she will not stop because it needs to be treated properly, and the blood is flowing too much, and therefore the bleeding must first be stopped. Rayan claims he said to stop. However, the girl reminds him that she said she didn't want to do this. And at that time, I thought that if she was stubborn as usual, he would sigh heavily and speak as usual. Truth says that she will bring medicine, and therefore asks the guy to wait a little. However, she wonders why he did it, and then asks about it. The guy offers to talk a little. When the main character heard this, she thought that his voice was very hoarse, and she was annoyed because it wounded her to death, since it was natural that he saved Liliana from danger, and she knew about it in her head, but she doesn't understand why it was him. Truth reflects that it didn't have to be Rayan, because this soul that was distorted and experienced such hostility, eventually noticing Rayan's wound, changed to normal. The main character turns to Rayan and then says that she really likes him stronger, because she is happy when he is happy. The guy heard this and said she was strange. The girl says that in the current situation, such words sound really strange. Rayan says that's why he can't admit it, because compared to her, he loves her more. Truth claims that she loves him more. However, the guy says that he thinks this is not so. The girl eventually offers to treat the wound. During this time, the guy hugs and kisses the lady, and then says that he wants to be treated differently. Truth tells the guy to let her go because this is a medical office, and that's why anyone can come here. Rayan claims that there is no one now. However, the girl insists that suddenly someone might come, and so she rejects him. The guy says that he won't do that again and won't force her to look at that face anymore. Hearing this, the main character kisses the guy. At this time, Terrarosa entered the office and looked at the kissing couple and said that she did not see anything. Truth had to explain itself. After this, the lady with blue hair says that she understands that the truth was simply treating the wound, and therefore she thought that the two of them were doing something shameless here. Terrarosa says that she heard that Sir Rayan got hurt, and the fact is that there is another job for him, and then he asks why he protected Lady Liliana and at the same time neglected the true lady. A girl with blue hair asks Rayan if he couldn't control his actions, and he suggests that since Lady Liliana is a goddess, this could be some kind of trick. At this time, the guys answered together that this was not so. Hearing this, Terrarosa thought that she and Liliana had become closer, and when she heard their words, something came to her mind. The main character thought that she was very worried, and if she told them about her expectations, it would mean that she would have to be exposed, that she was caught. And she realizes that she really likes all three of them, and she was afraid that this information would shock them. Truth doesn't understand how to tell her about this. After all, she understands that from time to time, when Rayan smiles at her, he does not seem to her like her character. And so she thought that today she would definitely have to meet with Rudafi. The girl turns to the rabbit and invites them to talk since she has something to discuss with him. Hearing this, Rudolphi thought that if she asked him if he could be trusted, then his answer would be yes. Truth understands that the rabbit could have killed her at any moment because he had so many opportunities. And even if he suddenly plans something, she still has no choice. The girl asked the rabbit what interested her most, and she talked about how Terrarosa and Rayan cannot control their actions. And then she asked if there was a way to solve this and she would like to know it. Rudolphi says he has a question for her first. The girl says that he can ask her anything as she can answer him. The rabbit says that it is very important since she did not prevaricate at such an important moment, and then asks who she is. At this time, the main character thought that Rudolphi looked a little like some kind of divine being. However, she could not confirm her assumption with the question he had just asked, because he couldn't say exactly who she was and understands that God must know everything, starting with how she got into this world and ending with the fact that this world is part of the book, and she is a passionate fan of Rayan. Truth told everything, even about the plot of the book and what went differently. And then he says that they both suffer from the original plot and therefore asks to tell how he can help them. The rabbit turns to the girl and says that she is a little man who is clearly mistaken about something. And then he explains that he is not God, and there is no God in this world, and the God she speaks of has already left this place. And Rudolphi is the one who keeps order in the Empire, and so that everything goes as the Creator said and order is destroyed, because nothing should interfere or contradict the natural course of history in the Empire. And so he doesn't know what she expected from him, because he can't help. Hearing this, the main character thought that since this book was finished, and therefore it was impossible to change the plot, and in the end, Rayan and Terrarosa will become what they should be according to the plot. The girl with blue hair will begin to be hated because she treated Liliana badly, and Rayan will become a shield for Liliana and will eventually die. The truth is that Rayan and Terraros do not want this. And then screaming, he asks if it is possible to change the course of the plot. Rudolphi replies that feelings and the like don't matter, because this is the law of this world. Having heard this, the main character does not understand how this can be, and screaming asks about it. And she wonders that for the sake of the finale, their pain and suffering are not at all important. Rabbit argues that now is the time to take care of your own well-being, and then asks if she didn't say she knew everything about the plot. And despite this, I still haven't figured it out. Rudolphi tells the girl that she will die the year she turns 17. The girl understands that it was so, and with each year, the madness of the truth became more and more serious. And finally, in the year when she turned 17, the whole world became aware of the atrocities of the truth. However, the parents of truth stood their ground. A knight of the wind, reared. By order of his master, he defended the truth to the very end, and in the end, he was sentenced to death along with the truth. The rabbit says that she is worried about someone else's death, but the news of her own does not bother her at all. Truth says that whether she dies or not makes no difference to her now, and then she says that she has something more important and asks if there is a way to save Rayan. The rabbit says that she will die before Rayan. Having heard this, the main character still offers to tell him how to save Rayan. Rudolphi is informed that this is impossible. The girl screaming tells him to come up with something and make it possible. The beast does not understand how he can make possible what is impossible. Truth says that if he doesn't tell her how to save Rayan, she will kill him, and she will also kill Liliana. The rabbit says she's a stupid girl, and then wraps her up with shoelaces. At this time, the girl thought that she should kill Liliana, but did not understand why he was bothering her. At this time, Rudolphi says that she has now become like the truth, and then it is explained that she just behaved exactly like the truth from the original. And he wonders if she thought that something was wrong with her, because sometimes terrible thoughts visit her head. The rabbit asks what kind of person she was before she was reborn, and then she says that the desire to kill someone was completely normal for her. He asks if the girl now understands what he wants to say.